consciousness lecture. This must be lecture A. Yeah, that's it right there. Perfect. Okay, we talked about, like we were here or here, right?
Yeah. We were in brain waves.
Brain waves. Yeah. So this is what your brain waves look like. Beta, 14 to 30 hertz. Awake normal consciousness, alpha, 9 to 13 hertz. Physically and mentally relaxed, awake but drowsy. Delta, deep dreamless sleep, lost about the awareness, below 4 hertz. Theta, 4 to 8 hertz, reduced consciousness, deep meditation. Dreams, light sleep, REM sleep. Gamma, 30 hertz and above, heightened perception. Can you guys think of any examples when you might have experienced these brainwaves besides what it says on the slide? Like specific examples of when you might have had any of these brainwaves?
With the alpha, could you say like, I don't know, I could be wrong, but like if you take like an allergy pill and it's like it makes you really drowsy.
Yeah, that can work. Physically and mentally relaxed, awake but drowsy, yeah. Like stay away from Benadryl, because Benadryl will make you drowsy. You want the newer one that doesn't make you drowsy? And I looked into it. That's you don't want to do like, oh, I have to take a drowsy medication and then go drink coffee. That's really bad on the liver too. You don't want to mix stimulants in.
So,
Both of you. Let's hear from both of you. I'm not sure who was first, but I want to hear from both of you guys.
meditation.
Meditation?
Like theta,
Yeah.
like deep, light sleep.
Yeah.
So you're like,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. What do you got? Oh, and then Zeke again. We'll hear from all of you guys. Want to make sure. Was there more, James? What do you got?
So you mentioned like the Benadryl stuff. Like I went to the doctor because I couldn't sleep well, and
Right.
they said that actually the allergy pills, they sell it now to help you fall asleep.
Yeah.
And what I experienced is that you kind of your body kind of gets slowed down a little bit. You know, you're still awake, but your body kind of calms down. So it's that like generating those like beta.
Yeah, and it's a the first generation is like a histamine blocker, which causes the drowsiness, so that and that's what clears you up. And then the second round doesn't, it still blocks like the congestion, but a different way, and then that's why they're non-drowsy. But the old school, yeah, that would actually be theta wave. Yeah, yeah, like probably more like alpha. Yeah. You have something too, Zeke? Unless there was more.
Yeah, would for delta, would it be like either when you accidentally fall asleep in the car or when you're falling asleep and you have that weird sensation that you're falling but you're not actually dreaming?
Yeah, and we all know why we get that sensation, because it's a lot of things. Your heartbeat slows down when you sleep. That's the thing. Also, there's this theory that, so it's like centuries ago we were more tribal, just all of us were more tribal. We slept in trees to avoid predators at night. And there's this theory that we have this genetic memory of falling out of trees when we were more tribal, and it's been passed on for eons because we weren't so good at it. So.
What about when you watch like those SMRs videos?
What videos?
Online there's like this, they ASMR, like they put sounds and like vibrations.
you have like,
The first
Oh,
one
to
is-
like lull you to sleep.
No, but it doesn't really make you fall asleep. Like in my case, I remember the first time I saw one of those, it was like a guy getting a haircut. And while I was watching the guy getting the haircut, I started feeling this like tingling in my head.
Yeah, that's psychosomatic.
You know, but
The mind's really powerful because you're thinking about it, or if there's a fear that you have, and like someone says something about that fear, like you might feel like for example, if you're afraid of spiders, you might get that tingling sensation that you want to like move your
well, my mom
arms.
is scared of snakes, and like even she can't see it even if it's fake. she knows it's fake and still freaks out.
Well, snakes and humans do not have a good history at all. Like, I was at a, I was, it was like, I think it was like a zoo or something similar. They had some animals in captivity, and they're like, I was visiting my dad maybe a year or two ago, and he's like, "Oh, let's go check this out." I'm like, "All right, sure, whatever." Like, we have a mystery animal, and it was a snake, and they went into the psychology of like how snakes never bond with humans. I'm like, "You guys are fucking snakes."
Makes sense.
Okay? They don't, like, dogs and cats totally love us, and maybe some of the other pets that we all have, but like snakes do not bond with humans at all. Like, that doesn't happen. So
Like a psychological thing for them?
they don't bond with us. Like, a snake's never been our friend. I'm thinking, no shit, but
When you said that, I thought you were referencing like the Bible.
well, if you want to go that far back, sure. Yeah. Yeah. If you want to talk about it either historically or very historically, it's snake's never really been our friend. But
Isn't there a story that people say this lady supposedly, it's just a story, I don't think it's real, but this lady had this huge python and it
Oh,
was
I think I
stretched
know what
out,
you were
know,
saying.
when I
Yeah,
was
I
sleeping,
heard
and it's like,
that.
oh yeah, it always sleeps with me like that, and then
It's
someone that
measuring.
knew about snakes the other day, like, oh, it's measuring you to see if it can eat you because
Yeah.
it stopped eating.
yeah. So as you fall asleep, you go through the N1, N2, N3 as you progress towards REM. So you can, in non-REM sleep, you can still experience dreams. It's just, it doesn't happen that much. About 10% of our dreams are in non-REM and 90% are in REM. And then I think we talked about this last week. Where do you have more brain? When is your brain most active? When you're awake or asleep?
You're asleep.
Yeah, when you're asleep. Which is crazy, right? Because you think that it would be more when you're alert.
I feel like we would go crazy if we were more alert, awake, wouldn't we?
What do you mean? Like if we were
There
more?
would be too much information for us to process.
Oh, if we were hyper alert.
Yeah.
See that?
I think I read that even sleeping in general is like an
Evolutionary?
evolutionary mystery, because why will species just lay idle when in the wild you can just be consumed? So the fact that we go to sleep is in a sense like a little bit, like, how do we figure out that we could actually let our guards down, and fall asleep?
I think the restorative theory makes more sense, but I get your point on the adaptive evolutionary theory of sleep. The idea is that it was at the time when there was less concern about predators, so that's why. But you ever not sleep? I mean, it feels like a hangover. Like the next day, like we need our rest to like function cognitively. Sleep does a lot of cool stuff, like it cements memory. It helps with cognition, like your ability to like process and think about stuff. You ever get sleep deprived for like 2 or 3 days in a row, and then you're like, I'm not that dumb, because you start making stupid mistakes, because it affects mental processing. Like, you need it. Usually it's about 7 to 9 for an adult. Some of us might get away with a little bit less. When people get much older, sometimes it's closer to 6, but it's usually 7 to 9 on average. You don't want to go much more than that for like overall health, and you don't really make up the sleep deprivation during the week. As I know some of you are like, oh, I'll just sleep on the weekends. That's not really a thing. And if you want to live a long time, you need your rest. There's been a correlational relationship between people that don't sleep that much and how long they live. And I was talking about this actually in a different psych class a semester ago at COD. One of my students was like, yeah, my dad passed away when he was 49. Because he had like 3 jobs and he slept 3 hours a night supporting his family for decades. And I caught up to him, like, you definitely need your sleep. So like, if you're going to pull an all-nighter and you study all night, that's not as helpful as just studying for a few hours and going to bed, because it cements memory. It like etches that memory into your brain. Like, it's really, really important. Now, if you are really physically exhausted, you have more non-REM sleep. If you're more mentally exhausted, you have more REM sleep. Does everyone have this so far? What's the pace? Okay. So we have rapid eye movement. You can go back towards like that N2 and 3 stage. Heart will beat more rapidly. Usually you wake up. 90% of our dreams occur in REM, rapid eye movement. Dreams that are in REM are more vivid and bizarre than dreams of non-REM sleep. And it's interesting, right? Because if any of that happened in reality, you'd be like, no way. But we just sort of blindly accept these off-the-wall things when we're sleeping. The idea is that it's in fragments, and then the story you concoct is your memory of all the fragments. Sleep paralysis, the inability of voluntary muscles to move during REM sleep. If you're tossing and turning, you're fine. If you're beating up your partner, that's a sleep disorder. You need to go get that checked out, okay? Like, that you should be paralyzed when you're sleeping. Tossing and turning, normal. Acting out your dreams physically, that's a problem. That's a sleep disorder. I said that wrong once to a psych class, and they were like, oh my gosh, not all of you, tossing and turning, fine. But like, if you're running, you're not kicking your legs in your dream, for example. Like, that's not happening. You have sleep paralysis. REM rebound, if you don't have enough REM the previous night, you experience more the next night. On average, babies have about 50% REM, and adults have about 20% REM. I can read your face. Did you have a thought, or are you just taking the information in Alondra?
I thought about something like,
Oh.
when my boyfriend is sleeping, he's learning Spanish. And one day, like, well, I work night shift and I came home and I lay down in the bed and then he was talking. He started talking in Spanish, but he said bad words and I was like, what are you saying? And I look at him, he was so asleep, but he was like talking in
Sleep talk.
Spanish, bad words. I was laughing and I was so confused. I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that.
He's sleep talking.
Yeah.
So if it keeps happening, you might want to have a sleep study to find out what's going on. It's usually covered under most insurances if you guys have insurance.
Sleep.
I would check into that. I mean, sleep talking is not really like, I don't think that one's listed off the top of my head. I think it's like sleepwalking and other stuff, but just, that's unusual,
The sleep talk.
the sleep talk. My mom used to mess with my dad, though. She wasn't actually asleep. She would just say stuff like she was sleep talking to screw with him.
Wait, that's unusual?
Sleep talking is unusual. Usually you don't talk. Usually you don't do that. But I would just keep, I don't think that's in the DSM. I think it's sleepwalking is in the DSM off the top of my head. I don't think it's sleep talking. I'd have to look to double check, though.
As growing up, I used to speak sleep talk.
Mhm.
Like, it would be like me recounting something that I did during the day.
Yeah.
Like I was playing video games, like because I'm like a problem solver.
Yeah.
And so I would play Zelda, and I remember like me walking through the map in Zelda, and then my mom would listen to me while I was sleeping, saying, "Oh, I need to go this way. No, I need to go this way." So somehow my brain was kind of recreating the map again and talking about it.
And our brains are amazing because I remember I worked in this really toxic sales environment, and I had a dream about the lead to call the next day, and then I went to work and logged in and found the lead and called the lead and signed the person up. But that feels like more like a premonition than like just usually the brain's working things out like Zelda, like the day-to-day stuff. The fact that your boyfriend's talking in Spanish is probably him trying to learn Spanish. So what you do is low-key put subtitles on Netflix when you guys watch Netflix, okay? That works really well. And make him listen to Spanish music, which is very soap opera for any of the fans in the audience. Like Anita and J Balvin, Downtown, they would not play it on the radio in English. Like that wouldn't happen. Wouldn't happen. What do you got?
I have a really bizarre one. Once or twice I've noticed I've been playing my guitar in my sleep. Is that normal? Like
Yeah,
it's not
that's-
even like
that-
just random stuff. Like, ding, 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 ding.
Just practicing.
Like I'll get
Yeah,
up,
yeah.
grab my guitar without me even knowing that I am.
That might be
Grab the pad,
sleepwalking.
like, ding, 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 and I wake up and my guitar's in my hand.
Yeah, you might want to
And
check.
let it chord.
You might want to get a sleep study. You may want to check that out because that's like I'll get up in the middle of the night sometimes and like do laundry or dishes, but it's not sleepwalking. I'm completely awake and I know what I'm doing. I go back to bed. It's usually laundry because I hate laundry. I love hygiene. I hate laundry. So sometimes in the middle of the night, if I have a lot of laundry to do, I'll wake up, like to use the bathroom, and I'll like throw laundry in the washer, go to sleep for a couple hours, get up, throw it in the dryer, get up, fold it. I'll lose about an hour of sleep in the morning. Magically, the clothes are all folded. But I'm aware of this. I'm not sleepwalking. Like what you're describing, where you're not aware of it, that's sleepwalking. That's a disorder. Like I would look into that. A lot of times, sleep, not all of them, but a lot of sleep disorders can be treated pretty easily. A lot of times.
Like it's happened like maybe once or twice.
If it happens a third time, I'd probably check it out.
I don't consider it sleepwalking, but like there's times when like I'll wake up in the middle of the night and then I'll just like walk downstairs and I'll just sit on the couch. But like I'm there, but then I'm not necessarily like there. I'll be like, and then I go back to bed. So I'm like, why am I up? I don't know if that's sleepwalking though.
I don't think it's sleepwalking if you're conscious of it.
Yeah.
If you're groggy and conscious
Yeah,
of
I'm
it,
like halfway there, I'm like,
I mumbled in my sleep. Well, I would mumble and talk a lot in my sleep. So, like, since I was a little girl back then. Wait, but what could that even mean? Like,
it's probably meaningless.
okay, good.
A lot of times, it's just random.
Okay.
You have something you want to add?
Dreams as a nightmares?
What was that?
Dreams like as a nightmare as well. Same thing.
Nightmares are usually caused by things like stress and us working things out. A lot of times, what happens during your day really influences your dreams. Like, but even like personality, because like something that I like to think, I like humor. I like to think that I can be fairly funny. I woke up one time because I was doing something in my dream that was so funny that it woke me up.
and you started laughing.
And I started laughing about
Oh
it.
my god, that happened to me too.
But I like to think that I have a good sense of humor, and that's like one of my core traits as a person. So sometimes it doesn't always, drug doesn't always hit, but usually they do. So
Yeah, I think one time, it was recent too, I woke myself up out of my dream. I don't know what it was, but I heard myself laughing. I was like, and I was like, why am I laughing? And then I remembered why I was laughing.
yeah,
What if you're singing in your sleep?
Sing?
you might want to get a sleep study. If you're picking up a guitar, you're not remembering it, you're singing it, like I would be careful. Like the talking, it's probably okay, but just be mindful of that, or get the sleep study. It takes like one night, they put a bunch of stuff on your face, and you're like usually you're facing your chest, and they do like a bunch of monitoring, and then like they know if you have a sleep thing going on. Waking up in the middle of the night, we all do that, especially if you drink water. Getting up and sitting down somewhere, that's not that big a deal. Not being conscious, that might be a bigger deal. But like I said, a lot of these things are treatable these days.
Because I was spending the night at my grandparents' house last summer, and my aunt, she was spending the night too. She's like, James, did you know you were singing in your sleep last night? And I'm like, no. She's like, you were singing Justin Bieber. And I'm like, I was? She's like, yeah. I'm like, I don't even know I was doing that.
Yeah.
I got issues.
I'm going to explain what actually happens during sleep in a moment, where like the parts of the brain that are activated and everything with the graph and the picture and what parts of the brain do stuff. But there's thoughts with both of you, so whoever wants to go first between you two.
You can go first.
So when you mentioned about the stress part, you know, the nightmares and stuff,
Yeah, in REM.
so for my whole life, I didn't know that I snore. Like nobody, my mom never told me, my brothers, my cousin, nobody
Yeah.
said that I snore. So when I moved to the US, I was in college, and I had a roommate, and he was the one who noticed. He would wake me up and say, hey, you're snoring or whatever. And then I was so kind of worried about that, because he recorded me, and he was like extremely loud, like it was crazy, like a big boat.
Yeah.
And then I would hear myself snoring, and I would stop sleeping. I would wake me up, like
Yeah.
I'm doing it again, but I couldn't control it. So I did get a sleep study, and now I sleep with a CPAP.
Yeah, because snoring is a symptom of sleep apnea, which is highly treatable. There is a correlation between Alzheimer's and sleep apnea, but only when it's untreated. Because of lack of oxygen to the
years.
lack of oxygen to the brain. But if you have sleep apnea, it is related to being overweight, and that doesn't mean like you're obese. Just being overweight is a factor. Skinny people get it as well, but snoring is a symptom. And everybody that snores has sleep apnea. And there's some newer treatments, like there's the thing they can put in, which scares me, because I don't want someone shutting that thing off. Okay, but the machine CPAP is probably the best, at least in my opinion. The BiPAP is another treatment, but the problem with BiPAP is it goes up to what you need on pressure, and it adjusts, which means there's going to be times when you're not breathing. And sleep apnea is when you stop breathing for like a couple seconds, which is bad for the brain for oxygen. So, but all the data says if it's not treated, that's when you run a risk for Alzheimer's. If you're treating it, you're probably fine. And if you exercise enough and get thin enough, it might go away. And there are people that's happened too.
I was like this, and then when I told my family, oh, you always have done it. So they never thought it was something big of a deal.
Yeah.
But when I did the study, I would stop breathing 26 times in an hour.
Yeah, that's.
And it was like my wife was the one who said, like, let's go to the doctor.
Yeah.
She noticed that she would notice that I would like panic. Like,
Yeah, because your brain's going, where's the oxygen? Where's it? And it'll wake you up. Yeah, that's normal.
So, and when that happened, but I've been 5 years with the machine, and now I cannot sleep without it.
Yeah.
Because I had got used to not feeling that restriction.
Yeah.
So, but it's a scary situation. So, yeah, sleeping, like, so what I was saying, like, yeah, when you're snoring, how come now that I was like aware that I snored, now I couldn't fall asleep because I would hear myself snoring.
Your brain, because things like transduction, metacognition, thinking about how you're thinking about thinking, that's something that separates us from the animals. That's something that we know we can do as humans. So he told you became consciously aware of it, and then you were thinking about it too much, or you're using metacognition, thinking about thinking kind of in the background, and then you were snoring. Your body knew you were snoring, and then metacognition was thinking about your behavior of the snoring or hearing it, and then it woke you up. Like, that's the beauty of being human. Like, we can really objectively evaluate ourselves or think about stuff, or you can be like, I intellectually understand something, but I want to change my way of thinking, and you can do that. Like, you can rewire your brain by thinking about it, but it's not like you do it one time. You have to like have a certain amount of intention and persist for that to happen. There's a question or a thought, yeah.
So, sleep paralysis and sleep apnea aren't the same. Sleep paralysis is when you're
It's supposed to be
asleep and you don't move.
move.
Okay, so, because this happens to me a lot, like, I go to sleep and then I wake up, but I can't move. And I don't know, I think when you sleep, your breathing slows down, right?
Your breathing does slow down, but if you can't breathe when you wake up, that could be sleep apnea.
Even if it's just like I'm barely breathing?
Yeah, I would do a sleep study. I wouldn't screw around with that.
That's really scary.
Because you want
I
oxygen,
can't move and I can't-
you want oxygen to the brain. Like, you could damage your brain. Like, it's good that you're being treated for that last 5 years. Like, that's really good, because 5 years of not being treated, that has an effect. There's another thought back here too?
So I have this thing where, like, every time I try to go to sleep, I can't breathe through my nose. Is that also sleep apnea, or is that something else?
That might be something else, because if you can breathe through your...
No, because the apnea is where you get relaxed, so you don't kind of
It falls back and then it stops the... It can be neurological, or like with your brain, or it can be like a skinnier throat, but it also has to do with like the amount of fat in the throat. And if there's less fat in the throat, there might be more unrestricted passage for the air.
Could it be related to smoking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Smoking's generally a bad idea, because anything in the lungs is not good for you. And if you have sleep apnea, it basically says you shouldn't smoke or drink. So, heavy drinking, by the way, is also a cause of sleep apnea. So if you're like, because I'm assuming you're like, you have wife, kids, all those things. If you're like, I drank heavily in my 20s, that could be giving you sleep apnea now. It's a factor. It's a factor. It doesn't mean it always happens. Anyone have any thoughts on this? Some people are like, I did a crime and I was sleepwalking.
Can't you tell when someone is sleepwalking?
You can, but the problem I have with this, unless we were doing video recording, someone could just say that.
I know.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, when I have dreams, some are more vivid than others. Like, some I feel like, does that, like, depend on whether or not, like, how deep in my sleep I am? Or what does that mean?
Could be a lot of things. And dreams, see, that's the thing that's fun and interesting about psychology. Like, sometimes, and of course, when everybody seek their own truth here, sometimes it leans into the abstract. Like, if you have a recurring dream where it's vivid, maybe the universe is trying to tell you something. Or God, or whatever you believe in. Like, maybe you should pay attention to that. But there's not a lot of science that backs that up. But I think I told you guys what happened where I had a dream and then like it literally came true. I told you guys about that last week, right? Like the vivid. I think that has to do with how much you're thinking about it, how vivid it is,
Okay.
because that would like paint that picture. So what happens? Okay, so insomnia. Anybody ever suffer from that? That's where you don't shut your brain off. So 97% of what we all worry about never, ever, 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 ever happens in life. 97%. So the things that are keeping you awake at night, only about a 3% chance those things are not going to work out. And then you're getting into what we call meta worry or mega worry, where you're worrying about worrying to try to prevent the impending doom. It doesn't really work. You can think about odds. How far in life did you get at this point with the responsibilities you have successfully to try to quell that worry? A lot of times, at least for me, when I used to suffer, it was things like finances, or being paid check to paycheck, or it was a variety of things. But it would be like not shutting the brain off, like continue to think about the thing. Sleep apnea, 10 seconds or more of not breathing, which can be dangerous for the brain. Because 2 minutes of no oxygen is brain damage.
Can children suffer from sleep
Yeah.
apnea? Is there like a, even if they're not like overweight?
Yeah, and you don't have to be overweight.
Like this.
It's a factor. It doesn't mean that everybody that's overweight has it, or that there's skinny people that don't have it, but it is more common when you're overweight. So I have sleep apnea. I had one doctor tell me that I had about a 4 out of 10 chance of getting over it. My new doctor was like, just exercise and lose weight, it'll go away. I'm like, cool. I'm going to believe her.
It does help.
I'm going to see how much weight I can lose in the next few years and maybe not have to do the machine. However, the numbers keep getting lower and lower the more I exercise. And not eat late at night. That seems to affect the numbers, by the way. So I would recommend not eating and going to sleep right away. That seems to make the number higher. What do you got?
You said being overweight causes sleep apnea?
It's a factor. Not everybody that's overweight has it, but more people that are overweight have apnea than people that are like thin. But thin people can have sleep apnea too. Risks, if it's not treated, heart problems, poor sleep quality, depression, things like that. There's a lot of cardiovascular risk by not treating sleep apnea. CPAP, a continuous positive airway pressure device, a treatment that pushes air and basically stops it. So something I think was called like the apnea effect, where if you were to go camping with your family, you could probably sleep up to a week and be okay because your brain, they did some studies, but that was from a sleep scientist, and I don't know if that applies to everybody. They said they found on average people could go a few days up to a week where if they didn't have their CPAP, they were okay before the apnea would get as severe, but it may not be the same for everybody. That was like an average.
But again, you mentioned the thinking about thinking.
Mm-hmm.
We flew on vacation and I forgot the machine, and until I forgot the charger, like the plug, and until I found one there in that country, I didn't sleep for 2 nights because I just couldn't. Like I would wake up in the middle of the night multiple times because I was thinking that I don't have the machine. I'm not sleeping well. You know?
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
You're getting in your head about it too much, but it was affecting your sleep.
Exactly.
That makes sense. Yeah. What do you got?
My grandpa has that. My grandpa uses that.
Yeah.
So the book, it says that it's a lot more common in infants and adults over age 65. So in infants, if it's a factor in studying infant death syndrome, can they study the baby before they send them home to see if they suffer from?
They should be, yeah, because that'd be a sleep study. They should be able to do that. I mean, it might be different how they do it with a baby versus an adult, but I would imagine if we can study adults, I don't know why we would be able to study a baby's sleeping patterns. That would make sense. What do you got?
No, I was just gonna say my brother, he has a cleft palate. He's born with a cleft palate.
Okay.
And they diagnosed him with sleep apnea like really young. He was a baby.
Yeah.
And I never knew what it was. Like, hello, just breathe. But like, I didn't know. I think he still has it, but he doesn't use the sleep apnea. Yeah.
Yeah, I would use it. It's better because it can lead to Alzheimer's
Yeah. We tell
by
him.
not treating. Should I go back or?
No, I was gonna ask if you ever got a sleep study, because you keep talking about it.
Yeah, I have sleep apnea.
Oh.
I got a sleep study. Yeah, I sleep with the machine, just like your colleague here. It's no big deal. It's pretty quiet. It's got humidifier. No, I just rest on the nose. I just breathe through my nose all night.
So I should get a humidifier?
Well, they come with them. They come with a humidifier so that you don't dry out your lungs.
I know, but
Like-
I'm saying, because remember I was telling you about my nose?
Humidifier would help.
Yeah.
A humidifier, because so usually with the newer machines are adaptive. So they look at the environment, and if you need the air to be more wet, it does that. I mean, you can sleep without the humidifier, but it's better on your lungs if you have the water in there, and bottled water, by the way. But sleep apnea is not a big deal, but you want to be able to charge a machine. Now, the federal law is that doesn't count for if you're taking it with you and you have it in a separate bag, it does not count as a carry-on. It's a federal law. Don't let them try to get you to say it's, because that's against the law. That doesn't count with your carry-on because it's a medical device.
Do you have
And
like a special slip?
no. You used to, but they don't have to. They're supposed to just
Same thing.
they're supposed to just say okay because it's a medical device. And it wouldn't hurt if you do have sleep apnea to think about getting a battery.
Yeah.
And they're like $500-600 are kind of expensive, or go to like maybe Batteries Plus, like a place that specializes in them. You can get a battery so if the power goes out, your machine still works. And I need to get a battery myself because power has never gone out where I live, but it could, and that'd be safer. Where you get like 4 to 8 hours of continuous juice if the power goes out. You can now if you sleep upright, because that happened, that was super fun. The power went out in Spain the night before leaving when I was visiting Spain. If you sleep upright, so this is an activity, but I was going to come back to this to have you guys. So the idea would be maybe towards the end of the class, break into groups, and then talk about one or two of these. Usually I say two because that way there's 5-6 groups. And I'm not asking you guys to be clinicians. I'm asking you just to
Like a general.
like a general causes, treatment, biology, side effects, just the base. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Does that make sense? So usually what we do to enrich is we walk through that, but the other piece of the other presentation is to do the same with 2 drugs. So I would probably just say do it all at once, maybe towards the end of class. Give you some time to work in groups, and then present something either today or next week on it, because I feel like it'd be early in the day early in the class time to break into groups. I'm thinking closer to maybe 8:30 or something like that, closer to the end of class. So Freud, when you see Freud spelled like this, he was Austrian, lived in Germany, think like that, okay? Don't pronounce it how it sounds. It's always Freud. Yeah, on Zoom, we had a bunch of people saying fruit. It's Freud.
Yeah.
Okay, I know it's spelled weird, but it's Freud. So Freud talked about manifest and latent content. Manifest content, that vivid dream you were describing a moment ago, Victoria, it's so vivid. The latent content, what is symbolism? What does it mean behind what you're dreaming about? So the idea is that we work things out from the previous day. You're thinking about all those things.
I feel like you would have to analyze a lot of people's dreams in order to come up with the meaning to certain elements of the
Yeah.
dream. You have to go through their entire lives too to see how it relates and come to the conclusion that something means something, right?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot to dream analysis. I think driving and cars are supposed to be sexual.
What?
Yeah, that's the thing.
What?
Driving and cars, that's supposed to have this. I think it might be according to Freud. I don't remember everything with him was
Yeah.
aggression or sexual in nature. So, and Freud did a lot of cocaine every day. He's a founding father. You still have to respect him, but context. The guy might have been high when he was coming up with his ideas. What do you got?
What was this B in the files?
Consciousness, lecture B.
Thank you.
Yep.
This is lecture 8.
There's lecture A and lecture B. Yeah, what do you got?
Wait, so manifest content is the things that are in your dream?
Yep, and latent is the symbolism.
Yeah, okay.
So like, what is it? What is it? What's happening, and like, what is the meaning? But Freud would talk about like it's fragments. So it's all these unrelated things, and then you wake up and remember those things, and then you like just tell the story. But it's so weird because like you go through a door and like you're skiing, and then like you're in the living room. Like there's all these. We would never accept these things if they were happening in real life. We'd be like, I'm gonna go get some mental health help. It makes no sense, but. So we're going to walk through these things: why we dream, content, how it affects consciousness, hypnosis, and physical and psychological dependence upon drugs. The effects of stimulants, depressants, and hallucinogens, and why we have supernatural visitations. So here's what happens. The pons, which normally conveys sensory information from the real world, sends random signals to the upper part of the brain during REM sleep. The thalamus then receives these signals, random signals from the pons, and sends them to the proper sensory areas of the cortex. This shoots over the cerebral cortex. The association areas of the cerebral cortex respond to the random activation of cortical cells by synthesizing or making up a story or dream using bits and pieces of life experience and memories. I know that's a little fuzzy, but that's our visual. Here it is in detail. That's the activation synthesis theory of dreaming.
That's what we see sometimes in our dreams, facing people that we've only seen once because it's using that.
Yeah. It would be rare. It would be. See, that's why some psychology leads into the abstract. If you see a face of someone you've never seen before, that theory doesn't support that, right?
But what if it's someone that we saw but we don't remember them, but our brain does?
Because your brain might. Well, there's a theory when we get to memory, and we'll see. Like, I just want to make sure we're pacing well. When we get to memory, there's some theory that we might all just like suppress memories of every moment, because there's some people with highly HSAM, highly sensitive autobiographic memory. I think I'm getting that acronym right, where they remember every day of their life. Where you can be January 14, 2016, what were you doing? They'd be like, oh, I was at the park and I was flying a kite, and they would just know. So because of those people, there's not a lot of them. They're wondering, is there exactly what you're talking about, Ezekiel? Like, is there a memory sort of like embedded that you sort of forgot about?
And your brain's using that face.
Yeah. Does everyone have this? I know there's a lot of stuff on that slide. You're still writing this, okay. Everyone have this? Have this. Okay. So this has to do with past, present, or emotional concerns. Cognitive theory of dreaming. Most dreams reflect the events that occur in everyday life. There is a difference between what men and women dream about. Anyone have any thoughts as to why?
Just watching an emotion thing.
Uh-huh. They've done studies. When you think about like communication styles, typically, not always, but on average, women tend to talk in a more relationship style, and men tend to talk in more report style. I do this when I interact with my parents. They're like, I was like, just give me the facts.
Oh,
My mom wants to know like all the
Emotional.
stuff, all the stuff that happened with all the
Nice details.
all the details. Gender, culture, a lot of stuff can shape that too. So, why do we dream? Freud's interpretation was wish fulfillment, conflicts, events, desires represented in symbolic forms of dreams, manifest content, actual dream itself, latent content, hidden or symbolic meaning. Activation synthesis hypothesis. Dreams are the product of random signals. Activation with the brain forming an explanation of signals based on memories and other information. Synthesis, or the activation information mode model, suggests that information accessed during waking hours influence synthesis of our dreams. What do we usually dream about? Everyday life, mostly in color. Content influenced by gender and culture.
I thought that not everyone dreamt in color.
Yeah, we usually dream in color.
What about people that, you know how they say that some people can't think in pictures? Do they still dream in pictures? Or can they still dream in pictures? You know what I mean?
I would think they could, but that's generally we're all dreaming, but we don't always remember our dreams. Some people say I never dream. You probably don't remember your dreams. I'm sure I dreamt last night, but I don't really remember.
Is it possible to not dream?
No, we dream. We all dream because we have REM. It's insane.
Right?
Like every single night. It's just a matter of not remembering your dreams.
You can train your brain to like learn how to remember something like your dreams.
Yeah.
Like you wake up and
You write it down. Yeah. If you like look at your hand before you go to sleep every night, so eventually in your dream you'll see your hand and you realize you're dreaming. It's another way. Like it's called lucid dreaming, but the problem is if you're aware that you're dreaming, a lot of times you consciously wake up because your brain's like, well, you're awake. I've done lucid dreaming a handful of times, but it's hard to do. It's fun though because then you have complete control over your dream sequence. Yeah, which is kind of fun.
I've like had like dreams where I'll like notice in my dream I'm like this isn't real, and then I'll like talk to the people, but then I wake up like a minute after.
Yeah, because your brain, that conscious awareness, that metacognition, you're aware that like the thing that you're experiencing is not real or it's fake. Yeah.
Do people that claim that they have premonitions, would their brain be activated in the same way that dreams activate the brain?
I think so, yeah.
You think psychics are real?
A little bit, yeah.
Last year,
I-
before I started working at my bank, I had
this lady come into my job, and I was talking to my friend, and she looked at me, and like my intuition told me to talk to her, but I didn't want to, so I ran away from her. And she came up to me, and she was like, "This is a lady I've never met, like a white lady I've never met." And she was like, "You're a Taurus?" And I looked at her, I was like, no. She was like, "Yeah, you are." And I was like, "Okay." And then she just looked at me, and at that point in time, I was like like in a really bad relationship. And then she just looked at me in my face, and she was like, "You know he's not the love of your life, so why are you with him?"
What?
And
Yeah.
I like frantically started crying because I'm like, what do you do with this information? Like, I don't know. And then all she said was like, "You asked for a sign, like, and I'm here." And I just literally was like, I can't do this right now. Like, I want to go home. Like, can I go home? And I never believed in it, but like when she just started saying a whole bunch of things about me, and I was just like, hello? Yeah.
There's not a lot of science on psychics, but like
How do they?
like I went to one quite a few years ago, and everything the psychic said was true.
That freaks me
Every
out.
single thing that they said, they hit it dead on. Like it was before I ever had an advanced degree. I always wanted to have an advanced degree and go away to the doctorate, and he was like, "That's all going to happen for you." He even predicted like like not the grad school I would get into, but like how I go into grad school. He's like, "You're not going to crush it on the GRE." I didn't study for it. I got an okay score. I didn't need the GRE for most of the school I ended up going to.
She,
Like,
she told
that's
me-
anecdotal, but your experience and mine, like it was true. There's not a lot of science in psychic. It's because the best psychic stuff has to be done like without being influenced. Like someone was like, "Oh, we were guessing colors." Yeah, you got like 10 of them, okay, or like 20. Like that makes. But like your experience, like
Wait,
mine,
I
like
had another one, though, like a crazier one. So it was like it was like back in my high school. I struggled a lot with like depression and anxiety in my high school. When I was a senior or a junior, I think.
Yeah.
Well, all my life. But anyway, aside from that. So I was going through it really, really bad, and I couldn't figure out why. I always try to get to the bottom of why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. And so I had this one friend, and her aunt was very like into like spirituality, but that freaked me out. So I was like, I don't feel comfortable, like I'm scared. So her aunt was like, "Send me a picture of her," and I was like, "I'm crying on the floor. Like, send you a picture. Are you serious right now?" So she sends her a picture, and she just looks at me. She's like, "Oh, she's not okay," like, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm crying." She's like, "No, you're not okay." And so she ultimately, I was in a really bad relationship. It was very toxic. So she like gets on the phone and she was like, "Hey, so that ring that you have in your box, like I need you to throw it away." And like it was a ring that my ex-boyfriend had given me, but that I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody. Like my friend didn't even know. So I was like, "What ring?" She was like, "That gold ring. Like it's gold." And I was like, and I remember like I started shaking because I was like, how do you know if nobody knows? Like how do you know? And that freaked me out. That freaked me out so bad. And then the one from the store, she told me last year when she walked out of the store, like with me bawling my eyes out, just her telling me everything. She was like, "Your intuition is always right, and you know it is, so follow it." And I was literally just like, "Can I go home? Like, can I go home?" Yeah, it was sick. Like actually sick. But it felt sick.
Why are more people more in tune with their spiritual side than others?
probably because they want to be.
Yeah, you have more faith in it.
Yeah, they have more faith in it. What do you got in the back?
I've had this like multiple times with me where I've like predicted death in my family. Like my grandma died a couple years ago, and I knew like a minute or two before, and I wasn't even like in her house. I was at my house. No one told me, and I just went up to like my dad and said she's dead, because like something told me.
Yeah.
And then I also had the same experience with a dog that I was taking care of, like a house sitting and stuff. And it was like, I didn't have a car at the time, and I told my mom that we need to go to the house right now. And I picked the dog up and sleep after the dog died right in my arms, because I told her that it was gonna die. And it's like this weird thing where most of my family's very spiritual in that way, where it's like generations just have these weird like psychic type things, and I can't explain it.
If it's accurate, I mean, you might want to go with it. There's not a ton of science. That doesn't mean it can't be real. My own personal experiences, like so far, there's everything. Except for like 1-2 things I think will still happen. Psychic was accurate about.
Because they say like your future changes every day. Like that's what they say, depending on the decisions you make. But then they also told my friend, because she was really heavy into that, they told her when you get your like cards read, don't think about it. That's
Oh
what they
yeah,
told her.
that makes sense.
Because then she'll like try to like make it happen for her, but that's not what she's supposed to do.
Yeah.
That's weird.
You're not supposed to think about what they tell you.
You're not supposed to think about it.
I wasn't sure about seeing fortune tellers because I think it's against my religion. But one of my good friends who's in the same religion is like, no, just talk to the right people, the people that are on the good side of things. That's who you
'cause
talk to.
That's what the lady told me, because I was like, oh, I never, like when I was bawling my eyes out to her, she was like, I've never like thought about getting my cards read with anybody, like it freaks me out. And she was like, it's because there's two sides. She was like, there's people that want to help you, and there's people that call like bad to you.
Yeah.
They call it out and bring it. Because one told my friend that she was either gonna lose her leg or her life.
And
so we were
nothing,
freaking out
and nothing
that whole
happened.
year, and none of it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, that freaked me out.
Is there any science behind seeing dead people? Cause like my whole family, okay, not my whole family, but like my sister and my grandma, they see dead people, or they're convinced they see dead people, and it's like really, really scary. Like I don't like it. I don't like any type of paranormal things. So when they tell me that they see stuff, they hear stuff, I just.
So it was one of two things. It's either like mental illness, or it's a spiritual experience with them seeing that. Like it could be something like schizophrenia, those would explain hallucinations, or it could totally be a spiritual experience with.
Is it possible that maybe like their trauma as a child formed that? Because I feel like my sister and my grandma specifically, I feel like they endured a lot when they were children.
Yeah, it might be. It could be mental health because there's definitely criteria in the DSM that says like hallucinations, seeing things, etc. And like schizophrenia is one of them for that. That's like the one where you see stuff. But as a spiritual person, or maybe, I mean, my grandma died of lung cancer, and I got to say goodbye to her before she died, and I was like, if it's allowed, because I don't want to call them the dead, I was like, could you please come visit me in my dreams? And twice she did. I don't think that was my brain. I think she actually did it. She actually was on a break from heaven and got to come visit me. I think it was real.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. It's not really grounded in science, but I think it really happened.
When my grandma passed away, my mom was the oldest, and my mom was going through it really, really, like, obviously bad as her mom. But I told my grandma, like, if you're okay, come visit me, like, whenever you're ready. And she came to visit me. We used to garden together. So, like, I was, like, in a white room with, like, a garden, and we were just sitting there, we were talking, and she was like, your mom keeps looking for me, but tell her, like, I'll look for her when I'm ready. And, like, I told her, I was like, and they also told me, like, when I woke up, it was on Thanksgiving, and that was my grandma's favorite day because she loved to cook. So I woke up, and I'm sleeping next to my mom because we were at a hotel in Colorado with our family. And I told my mom, like, hey, like, can you start looking for her? Like, she said she'll come find you when she's ready. And my mom was like, well, I miss my mom. Like, I want to look for her. I was like, I understand, but, like, she's kind of telling you you're being pushy right now, girl.
You know, my mom's the same way about her mom because of my grandma. And I think she has a lot of anger about her
Yeah,
mom
she still
dying so young because it was literally clinical lung cancer because she smoked from like age 14 to like early 60s, like cigarettes. I mean, they used to think several decades ago that smoking was good for you.
I know, like, I
But-
don't know, I feel like I think about it a lot. Obviously, like, I'm my mom's daughter, I care about her. But, like, grief is it's not linear. Like, grief is not linear, and I know
Yeah.
that. Everybody goes through different stages of grief at, like, different times. It's fine. But, like, it's gonna be 8 years, and I feel like she's still in the, like, stage of denial. And I don't know how to, like, help her out of that. So, like, I could talk about my grandma, and I could talk about her loud and proud. Like, it was a privilege, it was a blessing for her to be a part of my life. Like, I think about it like that. I think about it as a good thing.
Right.
But my mom is very angry still. So I'm just like, oh, and I feel like she's driving herself crazy.
I think she needs to come visit
Yeah, I told her that, but she doesn't know.
Well, you can't help someone who doesn't want to do something.
Yeah, I told her that.
You also just have to be patient. Because I remember when my friend died, I was so frustrated that like it happened because I thought it was my fault because she committed suicide.
It's never your
And
fault.
I was like, oh my god, it's my fault for years. I told myself that, and I was like, no, this isn't real. Somebody else told me it's not real. Like, I would also see that her account was active on profile, so I also used to think that like she was still alive, but it was just like her family. Like, it's stuff like that. It's like the little things where you convince yourself that like it's this or that. You just have to like give yourself time.
I think for my mom, because my grandma passed away because of cancer. I think for my mom, she thinks, oh, there was stuff we could have done to help her, but it was her third time, like, getting cancer, and the doctor was like, her body's not really made to, like, go through another round of chemo again and again. Like, my grandma literally said, I don't want to do it. Like,
That's what my grandma said too. She's like, screw it. And then she called her ex-husband, my grandpa, who's a hypochondriac, to freak him out about that. That was epic. He was really mean to her when they were married.
Yeah.
So,
Did they know?
No.
Maybe it's something like Hannah.
Like,
Maybe she
feel-
regrets not spending
Yeah.
as much time with her,
yeah.
and then once she did want to spend time, it was too late.
Grief's hard. Like, my mom's kind of psychic. She gets this feeling in her stomach when things happen. And what's concerning, because we're vulnerable here, my dad's supposed to be on high blood pressure medicine, and he's like in his 70s, and he's not taking it. And he's been super obese since like his 40s. Like, there's no way, or his 30s. Like, I was asking my mom about like Dad, and she has this feeling that his death is coming really soon, which is really sad because I've been like, you need to walk, you need to do something. He wants to do like Chinese herbs and not take high blood pressure medicine, which you
Why
can't.
Are you speaking in his language?
I don't live by him.
Oh.
I live on my own. I don't live with either of my parents, so he just make suggestions. So we've done all the planning stuff, but we all want our parents to live forever, right? You know, we don't want our parents ever to die. So, but he's very stubborn. He keeps slipping. Like, he thought I had Wisconsin plates on my car. I haven't lived in Wisconsin in like a really long time. I lived in Illinois for the last several years. He keeps saying random small stuff, and I'm like, I think your capillaries in your brain are getting constricted. So, we have dissociation, divided state of consciousness. What do you guys think? Can you be hypnotized, do something you wouldn't normally do? Is that a thing? Any thoughts on that? Exploratory? No, if you're you're right. You won't do stuff that you wouldn't normally do. And if you're going to be hypnotized, it's not like the movie Hypnotic. Like, you have to accept the hypnosis or it doesn't actually happen.
Really depends on the mix.
Well, we're gonna talk about that right now.
Wait, so
This is what hypnosis can and cannot do right here. Or if there are more thoughts from either one of you, I want to hear you guys. If there was some, I don't want to cut you off.
oh no, I was gonna say oh, I thought it was like actions, like, oh, like you wouldn't pick your nose in front of people. Like, would you if you were hypnotized?
No.
No, because it's not something you would do. If
Just-
you were in your
just-
subconscious.
Yeah, it's just in your consciousness. The same thing with like people have all their states of consciousness to try to explain poor behavior.
No.
If you're not a cheater, you're not a cheater.
I have a question.
Period. Like, you can't say, oh, it's the alcohol or the drug, then maybe do something stupid. You just, it's not really an excuse. People use it as an excuse, but if you really believe in something, same with hypnosis, the thing won't
I
happen.
feel like also if you really love the person.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what state you're in.
Yeah.
Like, you will consider them.
Yeah.
I have a question. So you know the saying when people say like, oh, drunk words are sober thoughts? Do you believe that? Or is it like to each their own?
Alcohol is usually a truth teller. That's usually like a thing. It's kind of a truth serum. So you're usually telling the truth when.
That's true. My husband, whenever he gets drunk, he opens up and he actually tells me
Record it,
yeah.
Maybe like I feel that aid.
And then when I compare him when he's sober, he's like, why did you say that? Like, yeah, you did.
No, I would agree with that colloquial way to think about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I also think like when you're in like a huge argument, like how people like what people say impulsively, I feel like it's like something that they think about a lot.
Yes and no. See, anger is a fake emotion. And when I say anger is a fake emotion, I mean like systemically it's covering something else up. It's usually fear-based. Like think about you think about a job, and you're angry with your boss because you don't really want to lose your job,
Yeah.
because you want to lose the income. Like it's usually based in fear, and what ends up happening is that fear, fight, freeze response to the amygdala, and then people get overwhelmed and they say things they don't really mean or they shouldn't say. I get your point. There's definitely the heat of the moment, but a lot of times if you're riled up, you're not thinking clearly. And remember, we're electrical chemical systems, so there can be an imbalance in the chemicals. It doesn't justify the behavior, but it does explain it. So you cannot have superhuman strength if you're not hypnotized. That's not a thing. You can create amnesia for whatever happens during the session, or at least for a brief period of time. You cannot reliably enhance memory. In fact, it can be suggested, and then you can create a false memory. You can relieve pain by allowing the person to remove conscious attention from the pain. You cannot regress people back to childhood. Well, people might act like children will say it and do things children don't. You can alter sensory perception. Smelling, hearing, vision, time sense, and the ability to see visual illusions can be affected by hypnosis. You cannot regress people back to some life. There's no, like a previous life, there's no scientific evidence of this. You can help people relax in situations that would normally cause them stress, such as flying on an airplane, for example.
Wasn't there a psychologist in the late 90s that was working with children, and she had to like create repressed memories that weren't really there about abuse and
Oh, Indictment. Yeah, that's the movie. It's a movie that we watch sometimes, and I mean, it could be here. Usually it's in developmental abnormal psych. So what happened in the 1980s is the psychologist uses a technique she was not supposed to use. It's only if the memory actually exists to draw it out of them. And there are allegations of hundreds of children being sexually abused and by teachers and the owner of a school. And it was in Los Angeles. It's known as the McMartin trials. And everybody backed the children. And children have this thing called magical thinking where morality, they're still trying to work through morality, and they'll say what adults want them to say. So she was using actually like naked dolls and like techniques to make them say these things that never happened to them. And it turned out the allegations were from a schizophrenic mom whose son was molested but by her ex-husband. And they ignored that piece of evidence when it came up during the court, and it got weird. It was a 5-year trial. They were saying that they were like going to churches and doing weird demonic things and sacrificing animals. It got really, really dark and really, really weird because the kids were literally making stuff up. Or they were saying stuff that wouldn't make sense sexually about how they were molested because they were just trying to say whatever adults wanted them to say. But it's based on a true story, and a lot of times we watch it in a lifespan class. Not that we couldn't watch it here for the purpose of understanding morality in children, because they're not always telling the truth. They're working through morality. You had a thought.
Isn't there something like it's like a mental thing where you can have like a shared, like you don't experience something, but somebody else experiences something and you share that trauma, even though you didn't experience it personally. Isn't that kind of like what you're saying? I know it's
Oxytocin would support that, like the chemical, like the neurotransmitter.
well, isn't that what you're talking about? Like that's an actual thing, isn't it? It's
You can experience, like, what's it called, like, vicariously through another person. You can experience the thing.
yeah,
Like,
that's what I was talking about.
yeah.
Isn't that like kind of like what you're talking about? And then
These were false memories that were implanted by a psychologist. So they're not, so like, in concept, sort of. Like, I understand what you're saying, but these were literally like she made stuff up, and they said like over 150 times like they were not sexually abused, and then she was like, "Oh, what, are you dumb?" And like it's like, okay, and then they started saying that these things happened, and like they didn't at all. And like that one kind of hits close to home because like a kid that I went to grade school with, his dad got accused of same thing in like high school. He was a kid in a Catholic family. The guy had like 5 siblings. It never happened. The women changed their story on the stand 3 and 4 times. He never worked again as an educator because of the accusations. He ended up passing away in his 50s because he was like super morbidly obese. But I think the stress of that was probably still a factor in his death, because it would like, if someone does that to a child, we should lock them away forever. But we should also not just blindly believe the children when, in like that case, they were lying. Like, we should know that the person was guilty, and if they are, lock the key away, torture them, don't ever allow it to happen. I get that, but let's not just blindly believe. You had a thought, Kate?
yeah, I don't know. Have you heard of like Scientology? Have
Mhm.
you heard of that
Yeah.
whole like, could they be using hypnosis because there was a person who went like undercover and he like obviously took off his glasses. But like now that we're talking about like they could possibly be lying, he said when he went in there that like they sat him in front of a TV and like they made him watch, but like he said that he just like started like not disassociating. I don't know how he said it. I forgot his name.
Dissociation, that's right here.
I don't know if that's what like you would call it, but he said like he kind of felt like he was like being like he was feeling like really drowsy and like so focused on it. He was like it was super weird.
Well, that might have been a form of hypnosis. That might have been.
Because they literally live off of like $47 a week, and like they pay like they have like their housing paid for and everything, but like that's for them like if they need personal necessities like any like shower things or anything like that. So it's like what? Like I don't know. It's crazy. Is it a cult? I don't know.
It might be. Sounds like it, potentially.
Oh.
It might support social cognitive theory, the socialization process, and the cognition behind it, like the social expectations of how,
Like in
how they're raised. Like this is also why we would explain hypnosis. Like people are playing a role, but social cognitive theory is like here's the social cultural context and the expectation, and then your brain processes the cognition. So like we think about like how societies are raised. Our version of right is because everyone that raised us told us that was right. There's things that other cultures believe, cultural relativism, where they're different. We don't want to be ethnocentric by saying our culture is superior to someone else's, where they might believe something totally different than us because of how their culture raised them. Like, for example, I mean, it's a dark example, but I think true. I was reading about a tribe in Africa that's very unplugged from the rest of the world. And in that tribe to this day, part of becoming a man involves killing another man. And all of us, I think, could agree that murder is wrong. But in that tribe, they're raised that it's right. So for them, that's their truth. It's cultural relativism. I don't agree with that, but I'm also not going to say to their culture ethnocentrically that they're incorrect, but I still don't believe in it from like the way I was raised. Does that make sense? What was that?
I said, leave them alone.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get killed.
Yeah. So we have psychoactive drugs, chemical substances alter thinking, perception, memory, or some combination of these abilities. Physical dependence, condition occurring when a person's body becomes unable to function normally without a particular drug. Drug tolerance, you need more and more of it. Now there is such thing as reverse tolerance where you need less and less of it. My step-grandpa was quite the alcoholic, and he'd have 3 beers and he'd be 3 sheets to the wind because he had so much in his body. Reverse tolerance is rare, but it does happen where you need less of the drug for the same effect. Withdrawal, that's why people, for example, think about like tobacco, they say it's the same as quitting like heroin. It's like it's so hard to quit from the physical symptoms. Smoking cigarettes is dangerous. It's disgusting. Sure, yeah. The smell is dangerous. Alcohol is like poison.
Literally.
It's like quite literally poison.
Like if you like partake in it like what every weekend?
No. Any amount.
Any amount of alcohol is poison.
It's a chemical
Yeah.
that is actually killing you.
Wow. It's just fine if it's sometimes, right?
No, like any amount.
Any amount. There's a risk. Now, if it's sometimes it's better than all the time. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I went out on Saturday night and had a few drinks. I didn't get like completely, like.
No, all poisons kill you at the same speed.
Yeah, I didn't get completely blackout drunk or anything, but I did have some drinks, and we were literally talking about that as we're drinking alcohol because it's so poisonous. Like cigarettes, it's interesting that cigarettes and alcohol are so regulated in our society. And then you have things like weed that's controversial. It's way less risky than alcohol. The long-term effects of marijuana are not the same as alcohol. Alcohol causes memory loss.
Is that why people don't remember what happened like the day after?
Yeah, we had a guy.
What is it called? Anxiety or something like that?
Well, it's probably a colloquial term, but there was a guy that used to go out to the bar and he would like tackle people on the way home, and he's like, I just remember leaving the bar and waking up, and he would have no memory of.
Blackout.
He would just black out. But alcohol is literally poison. Like, be careful.
So if somebody has been drinking for let's say like 30 years.
And if they stop drinking, that can cause death, by the way. if you drink a lot
So, okay, I have a question.
and then you stop drinking, it's not immediate, but like years later it can cause death.
I have
That's the other thing. Like that's the other concern that I have, like quite vulnerably about my dad. Like he drank for years, quite a bit, and now he doesn't drink at all, and like that can also cause death years later, because your body's so accustomed to it. But alcohol is like literally poison. Marijuana has risks. You don't want to smoke in your lungs, and you might pass out or eat a bunch of food. I mean, that's kind of it.
I have
And no one's gonna rob a bank. They'll do it tomorrow. Anyways.
I have a friend who, his dad, like, I've kind of noticed from being around them sometimes that his dad always has a drink, but like, he doesn't drink just to drink, like, he'll drink to like get fucked up. Like,
That's
his,
bad.
yeah, but he's been doing it for like years, since I've known him for 13 years,
Yeah.
14 years, since like elementary school. And he told me like, oh, like, I have a problem.
Yep.
So he told me, but he says that when he stops or he tries to stop, he feels so sick.
Yeah, because the body's used to it. The body's used to it. If he wants to stop, he has to slowly wean himself off of alcohol. Because he's
trying to stop like cold turkey.
he's
I can't.
he's probably has physical dependence right there. That's why there's psychological dependence, like the belief you need the drug to function, and then there's physical dependence. It's probably physical dependence.
Wow. Doesn't like alcohol like make your face like really
Red, puffy.
over time too? Like,
Yeah.
your blood pressure?
Isn't it
Yeah, I would drink in moderation or not at all. Drinking is like, it's like poison. Like, I'm so I'll go out sometimes because like I'm a normal human being. I just happen to have been in school longer than everybody, but like also go out and have drinks with some friends. But I'm so paranoid of what you literally just described, Kate. That, like, I'm literally going, okay, I'm gonna go out once or twice a week or zero. Like I don't want to become that person. I don't want to become someone with a problem. I just want to do it socially if I'm drinking. I don't want to become like the alcoholic or the person that needs it to function, because that can happen, especially if like the addiction gene, that can totally happen.
My dad, when I was little, he had like a problem too. But now that I'm older, like I realized a lot. And so I was talking to my aunt, his sister, the other day, and she was like, "Oh, but it's okay because he's just a social drinker." And I looked at her and I was like, no, he's not. Like, no, he's not. You're lying." And I think that's what he tells people, because he doesn't want them to know, like, oh, I go through a 6-pack a night, like, by myself.
That's
or,
not healthy.
Yeah, and he's been doing it, and he smokes. He's been smoking cigarettes since he was like 13.
That's cirrhosis and lung cancer and throat cancer.
He's a truck driver, so he doesn't get sleep. So like.
So then he's taking things to keep him awake.
Yeah, I don't know.
My grandpa became an alcoholic in his 20s, and he was diagnosed with cirrhosis, and they told him to stop drinking, so he did, and 2 years later he died because
He wasn't drinking.
he was drinking, and his cirrhosis actually got more complicated, which was really, it was sad because he wanted to be better, but obviously.
The most concerned is addiction and psychology. We're not concerned about experimentation or
An addiction is what, like.
is when there's an addiction when there's a pattern. A 6-pack a night is an addiction. Going out with your friends and occasionally drinking alcohol or smoking a joint is not an addiction. When you do it every day, or there's a pattern, it's a problem.
You wake up in the morning.
And you need it, that's a problem.
You wake up at night, you're like, I need a drink.
Yeah, that's a problem. Going out socially, situationally, and not having a pattern,
Who does it socially
that's
and
different.
Who does it like,
there is less
who
risk.
should drink like 4 shots of tequila free.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
But if you're doing it all the time or there's a pattern, that's a problem. So like any alcohol bad, but less is better. You had something you wanted to
Yeah,
add? I saw your hand for a
So
while.
it's like either way from the screwed. If you start drinking and you quit.
It's when you do over a long period of time.
Or like, what if it like mixes with like, say you're on medication?
Oh, that's real dangerous.
It literally says it on the bottle.
You're literally not, it can knock out the ability of antibiotics to work. Like, you don't really want to drink when you're on any sort of medication. And you got to be very careful because, like, there's a chemical, I'd encourage you to look it up, cocaine plus alcohol. Now, I know that's a big thing sometimes that, like, groups of people that like to go out and like, oh, well, they want to do a bump and, like, drink alcohol. It's a bad idea because there's this chemical where both cocaine and alcohol are dangerous, but together they are more dangerous. There's a chemical that gets created, it's like cocoa ethyl or something. Like someone could look it up maybe. Like there's a chemical that's very toxic and very
Can it
fatal
kill you?
that can kill you.
Yeah.
Cocaine and alcohol by themselves can also kill you. Something called acute alcohol poisoning, but generally together, cocaine and alcohol are really, really bad.
Cocoa.
If you don't make enough money to be doing it.
Yeah, literally.
Well, cocaine drains the bank account, as I understand it. I've never done cocaine. Have I seen people do it? Sure, but I'm not a narc. I don't
it's just
do it.
like it's just something that like why would you want to partake in that? Like
But you know
And I
what?
don't like the side effects of cocaine either, okay?
So when people have the mindset that are like, oh, it's just once, and then they do
Oh.
it, and then they're like,
Oh,
oh,
but
it's gonna fun.
psychoactive is not the same psychedelic. Right?
Psychoactive and psychedelic,
They're not. They're
not identical. They're
They're not
similar, but they're not
identical.
identical.
Okay. Because that is one thing. I mean, I never had tried any of that, but that is actually something that had interest me, especially because I have read about like LSD and stuff like that. And then you read about it. I was a chemist, so like
Yeah.
I learned a lot about stuff like how this guy just discovered that, and when he first, like he was extra high, like he was a scientist and.
Oh, there was a guy that discovered something. He was a chemist. I think I remember talking about the same thing. He figured out this thing at the molecular level that was a cure for something, and they interviewed him, and they said, "How did you figure that out?" He was actually, I was on a psychedelic trip, and I became the molecule, and I remembered what happened, and that's how I figured this shit out. They like interviewed him
No, the one I'm
during the
talking about is
trip, during like the psychedelic like thing where you see the stuff and you hear the stuff and there's different
So
connections.
like when you're like on shrooms.
Yeah, which is way less dangerous than like LSD. And
Well, LSD
controversial.
is not dangerous.
What was that?
LSD is not dangerous at all, because what they say, first of all, you don't get addicted to it.
Yeah, but the behaviors with LSD can be dangerous.
Well, you're gone. Yeah, you're gone.
If you're like, oh, I'm floating, I'm going to drive my car off the parking garage, you're fucking dying, okay? Like, I had a friend in high school who was doing LSD, and she called me, and I was like,
Don't do
turn
it.
your car around. Your car can't fly. I know you have a reality-based brain. Turn around, and she did, and she lived. You've been waiting for a while. You've been raising your hand a couple times.
I was gonna ask like kind of a stupid question because like my boyfriend tries to convince me that Adderall and cocaine are the same thing because I did Adderall.
They're not the same.
No, they're not, right?
They're both stimulants. They're in the stimulant family, but they're not the same drug.
But like doesn't one like raise chaos? Like can't cocaine even if you have like if it's a stimulant to you or something like will it not make you go like batshit crazy?
Psychotic is the right vernacular, but yeah, same difference. And that's literally the assignment. We're going to pick, when we get done with this one, or at some point I'll condense it, we're going to research 2 drugs of our choice and talk about the risks and what they do perhaps when they interact with each other. So you could actually geek out on Adderall and cocaine and talk about it if you wanted to. Like we're going to do some mini presentations. Today or next week, depending on time. I mean, I can tell you what we're doing now, and we could take a break and then just dive in, or I can give you a little more context. It's the amount of time that you want to have to work together. If you want like a solid hour, we can do it right after break. If you want like 30 minutes, I'll walk you through a few more things. A few more things? Okay. Does everyone have this, by the way? No, you're still writing, aren't you? Okay. It's controversial, but psilocybin, which is the active ingredient in mushrooms, has been known to, there's been some preliminary research on it. PTSD, anxiety, and depression has successfully gotten people off anti-anxiety medications for decades from one trip. And they have no reported depression. It doesn't always work, and it's super controversial because it's not legal. It's still a federally illegal substance. Under the scope of psychology, we would say, if the treatment works and it's controversial, let's do it. We would say, like, because we want the mental health outside of like what the law is. Should we go on break? No? Yes? 10 minutes? 5, 10 minutes? 10? 10? Okay. That's why people do drugs, but we'll come back to that. It literally talks about the pathway.
My thing still shows up as February 27th. What did you say was making like that?
The 6th?
The sixth.
What did you say?
What did he say about?
Yeah, what did you say? Yeah.
Oh, just refresh it and the homework will show up.
For chapter 6?
Yeah. Yeah, because when I went straight to it, homework wasn't there, and I just refreshed and homework showed up.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
something like that. Is there another type of like therapy that psychologists, I mean, other than hypnosis?
Oh yeah, there's this cognitive behavioral therapy. There's what is it DBT. There's EDMR, which is like eye movements and being cathartic about the experience. There's cognitive behavioral therapy is like the cognition behind the behavior and like educating the person. That's used quite effectively with like autism. So they know, okay, those are the social rules to make sure I don't break them, for example. There's also like talk therapy, which is like Rogers, which had to do with like valuing the patient for like unconditional positive regard, in like a non-judgmental fashion. And like if they had like 7 different things, like were they enjoying their life? I don't have them right in front of me, but it was like there's a lot of different therapies. Electroconvulsive therapy is used rarely, but that's like sort of a last resort. There's also the whole medicine side of things. Most of the sciences, if you do therapy and medicine, it's usually the most effective.
So for a person that's looking for a therapist, for example, I would like my mom to go to therapy
Okay.
because she doesn't have a lot of emotional regulation, so it's like she lets her emotions loose.
Okay, so she needs we're gonna hire emotional IQ.
Yeah. So like, how would I know what type of therapist to like recommend for her to see to kind of help her not have her life be dominated by her emotions, for her to have emotional control of her emotions? Because I feel like she would also have to be educated because she takes things as an attack when close people tell her.
So cognitive behavior. Someone has experience in cognitive behavioral therapy. I think it'd be good because of the education piece of like, does the getting overwhelmed make sense? How often does this thing happen statistically? It doesn't really happen. Stuff like that to like alter the behavior. But the thing with therapy is there's no one size fits all. Some things work better for other people that don't work. But I would say that education piece and like metacognitively thinking about her cognition and how she processes stuff. Emotional IQ is hard because we're humans.
Yeah.
Like, I have advanced training. I like to think I have a pretty good emotional IQ. There's times when I lose it. It's pretty rare. Like if I have a really, really crummy day, like I think it was like maybe a couple of years ago, I had like an argument with like the woman I was with, my parents, my car broke. I like all these things the same day, and then when they messed up my tropical smoothie, I let the person have it. And like it was out of line. I didn't have to go off on them. They made a small mistake, but it was a culmination of things that I was just not in the mood for like a mistake on my smoothie. It was like, you just kicked my puppy, like, because that's what it felt like. That's not really what happened, but it was like several arguments and car trouble, like all like in the same day, and I was just done. Like, generally, I'm pretty good about like not getting riled up, but like it's like 5 or 6 things that day. And I don't know if I just made me feel crummy about the mistake. I wasn't like, I just made a phone call. I didn't like go in there or anything, so. That time. So this is why people do drugs. The pleasure center has been discovered, or alcohol, because alcohol is a drug, quite literally one of the most dangerous drugs. It is poison. That's absolutely correct. The cells in the pathway communicate via the neurotransmitter dopamine. The pathway between the ventral tegmental area and the nucleus accumbens is most likely the site for rewarding effects and natural rewards, eating, drinking, sex, and drug effects, euphoria, and pleasure. This is mapping out why people will do it. A lot of times it's a lot of dopamine. But you can get a lot of dopamine from other things like extreme sports. Running, skiing, skijoring, stuff like that. Anyone know what that is, by the way, skijoring? It's a pretty awesome sport. That's where the skier is towed by a horse.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Someone tried to tell me that it does animal abuse. I'm like, I think it's a cool sport, but there's other ways to get like excess dopamine. We're probably dopamine addicted to our phones. Anyone stay up late at night waiting for the bank to deposit the money in your account? Dopamine. Get a little chemical reward. That's why people do drugs too, because it's dopamine. It's a chemical reward. The reason people smoke cigarettes and never quit is because the brain, first time you all smoke a cigarette, you get high for about 10 to 15 minutes and then it goes away, and then you never get high again from a cigarette. The brain sends a signal, that felt good, do that again. And even if you don't feel it anymore, that's why.
But once you lose interest, you don't get that feeling again.
The brain remembers the feeling.
That's sad. It's like your brain was chasing something that doesn't
That'll never happen.
One time I was talking with my English teacher, and she was like, I was so close to her. She was like my school mom, and she was basically telling me that she's never done a drug in her life. I was like, that's crazy, and she was like, it's because she thinks drugs are like amazing, and like that's why people get so addicted to it. So that's why she's never gonna try it because she just feels like it must be so amazing for people to like really be addicted to it.
Well, if she has addiction gene, she's more susceptible to it. But there's difference in the risks of drugs. Like cocaine, bigger risk than marijuana, for example. A lot of people say that marijuana is a gateway drug. I think people just do marijuana and not do any other drugs. Like that varies. I don't know if that's always true. It's the addiction that's the biggest concern, is disrupting your life. That's what the biggest concern is. But anything, you ingest anything that's alter selectivity into your body, there is a risk. Like, you don't get a free pass if you drink a little. Like, it's more of a pass because drinking all the time is worse. What were you going to say, Kate?
Oh no, I'm just gonna say like it's kind of like if you rely on it too much.
Yeah.
Whereas if it disrupts like you being able to do your actual duties every single day.
If it disrupts your duties, if it affects your health, are you getting blackout drunk, or are you having a few drinks socially with some friends here and there? There's something called phenols, PHENOLS. Those are actually healthy. They come from alcohol. They prevent chronic disease. But alcohol also causes chronic disease. So like the recommendation for alcohol is like, like a drink a day and not every day. Like a drink a day maximum and not every day.
The recommendation is 14 drinks a week, max, which is around
1 or 2 a day max, and you're not getting high on the alcohol.
Well, the recommendation is none, actually.
Yeah, you get it. Yeah. Although I will say that toxic place I worked at, when we would drink pints at lunch, I think I caught up. The job was easier after lunch. The managers, the directors, and the employees would drink pints at work, like on their lunch break.
Oh.
And the stairwells where there were no cameras smelled like weed. I think people were trying to cope with the high pressure sales job.
I think it's funny when I meet like adults that smoke weed. It makes me laugh because it's like, oh, I was told my whole life it was horrible and this and this and that. I'm so proud of you for doing that.
That's another question too that will come up later is, at what point are you truly adulting?
I think adulting is being able to take accountability for like for knowing, like for example, if you're becoming too reliant on it, I think that's
Accountability,
accountability.
like owning the behavior.
Like you could be like.
So if you
I
try to
have a
blame,
problem.
so what was that?
Like if somebody's like, oh, I have a problem, and they actually take initiative to stop. That's adulting. Like knowing that
You
you're
don't
at
need
your
to
limit.
stop to have accountability.
Knowing that you're at your limit, like, and you're just like, oh, like I can't, like I'm becoming too like the self-realization that you're.
Okay.
I think that's adulting. And also like emotional IQ. What we were talking about.
I think emotional IQ and owning the behavior, I probably agree with that. Because once you're 18, you're technically an adult. But like, I have some friends who's a little bit older than me, married to each other, guy and gal, and their parents still pay their phone bill. And I'm like, you have a doctorate and your wife has 2 masters, really? Like, you guys have good jobs. But because their parents have always paid their phone bill, they just let them. I'm like, I don't think you're being very responsible here.
Must be nice the other way around.
What was that? It's usually, the kids usually paying for the parents, right?
Yeah, I don't think my mom pays for anything. Nothing.
So like, responsibility is a piece too, right?
Yeah. And I think it also feels better. I mean, it doesn't feel good having bills, but
Yeah.
like it feels better because you're in control.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was just trying to understand your point, because you're like, when I meet adults, and I'm thinking, generally, probably everybody in the room's an adult, at least we're hoping,
but I
right?
think like people like twice my age.
Sure, okay.
And I'm like, oh, and they're really chill. They're always really chill. They don't
Yeah,
make it their
marijuana-
whole personality. Some people make it their whole personality.
People make it their whole personality.
Like they're like, oh yeah, like you know me. I'm just like, no, I don't know you, but like cool. You know?
I was just thinking of like the normalization of drugs is just like, so weird to me.
What do you mean?
like, it's just so normalized for 13-year-olds to be hitting that vape in those
Oh
restaurants.
yeah, that's
Like-
so true, girl.
Like,
That is
it's
so
actually
true.
concerning to me, especially growing up in like low income areas. Like, I don't even know where they get the money for the vapes, but they find a way somehow. And it's, yeah, the normalization is just really weird.
I think when I was in like when I was like a freshman or a sophomore,
Yeah.
all of the kids that I kind of knew in class but was never really friends with, in my senior year, a lot of them had gotten into, I don't know what they call them, blue, like pills. Is it? Huh?
Dreams?
No, they're pills. They're not green.
They're not, aren't they like a little,
Cactus.
no, that's nicotine. They were like actually doing like pills. Yeah, and I was like, what even is that? And like nobody would tell me. I still
Oh.
don't know what to say.
That happened in my freshman year too.
Yeah, but it's just like they do it and their friends are like, oh dude, try it, like it's better than weed, try it, you're gonna be so chill. And like
It's Xanax, I know.
Probably.
Xanax?
It sounds like Xanax. But be careful, because if it's Xanax, you don't want to
no, I don't
mix.
think it was Xanax.
Don't want to mix Xanax and weed. That's not a good combination.
No. I was just like
By the way, just if you're wondering.
you guys are probably the cops.
Yeah, I hate being like that person, but I also love it. Just like, I don't know, just addiction is like so scary. And I have a family who like, they have a history of addiction. So whenever my friends like tell me that they're drinking and stuff, I'm like, don't do it every
Yeah.
weekend. Don't do it every time you're out with your friends. Like,
Because some people, that's why they say like, oh, some people can have fun when they're sober. Like some people they just can't. And I've experienced that with my friends. Like there were some friends that I used to be really close with. That we would go to the mall and they'd be like, oh, we should drink. Like, what are you on? Like, just trying to talk.
they think you can't have fun like without alcohol.
You can have fun without alcohol. You can have fun. You can have fun without any substance.
Yeah, it just depends like on who you're with. Like, who's your team.
Yeah.
Anything that alters cell activity. So, caffeine. 400 milligrams again, guys. I read the warning sign that's written vertically in your Red Bull and see how many cans it says to consume, because I bet you it's like 1 or 2. Or for anybody else that has energy drink, there's a vertical label warning you on there somewhere, because there's in Celsius, there's probably one on Red Bull that says don't consume more than 1 bottle. They usually try to hide the warning label, but if Celsius has one, Red Bull probably has one. I'm guessing. It might not be on there, but there's probably a warning label somewhere.
I think like right under the 400. I think right.
If you're at or below, you're probably okay. If you start to exceed it, that's a problem. But even hitting the limit is dangerous. What does it say? You got one for us on the
It
caffeine that
says-
you're?
In my coffee it says cocoa, but then like with cocaine comes from cocoa plant.
Oh yeah, it's the same. It's not, cocaine and caffeine are not identical, but they come from the same thing. Just like
Oh, shit.
the poppy seed muffin, opium. You can test positive for opium. Doesn't the drug test, the clarity of the drug test, but the poppy seed muffin's not going to make you high. Opium will, but the chemical that creates the poppy, that's from the poppy seed, that's where they make opium from. So
Oh,
if you're going for a drug test, you may not want to eat a poppy seed muffin. It depends on the quality of the drug test. Sometimes they can be like, that's poppy seed, that's opium, but it could come up like opium, depending on how clear it is.
one of my friends, she got a new job recently, and then she had to do a drug test, and she had to pee in a cup, because she works with kids or something like that. And she had poppy seed, like,
Mhm.
Oh,
it
yeah.
said that she was on drugs,
Yeah.
because her pee came positive with drugs.
Yeah.
So she didn't get the job. But then they redid it, and they're like, hold up, did you have poppy seeds? Yeah, I had poppy seed muffin. Like, oh, you're fine, man.
Yeah.
But it's really weird.
I think I read an article about that not too long ago.
She's like, oh, I'm like,
I have a friend from high school, and she's totally like a burnout stoner. She just smokes weed all the time. Like, and she made it her personality, which is exactly what you're talking about. But I'm not gonna stop being friends with someone because,
Yeah.
you know. And she had a test for AT&T, so she went and bought it's called Test Clean, where like it makes you clear for like a few hours. And she drank it. It's this horrible stuff that you drink is supposed to make you clear. And she got hired at AT&T. And she found out a couple years later that it didn't work. She didn't pass, but because it was just a weed, they're like, just let her go. It was AT&T.
She had to drink that.
Really?
Yeah, she worked there for a few years, but she literally did not pass the drug test by the phone company, AT&T, but because it was just weed, they were like, that's fine, whatever. But it would have been like anything else, like opiate, like that would have been it would have been a problem. So. I have a cousin who does the same thing, and he had to take a factory job, and it was like through a temp agency, and the guy smokes weed all the time, and his boss was like, "Go to the drug test now." So he stopped at a head shop, got the fake urine with the warming unit, snuck it inside, and then she was like, "Sir, your pee's too hot." And he goes, "That's because I'm hot." And she poured it in a different cup, and he passed, and he got the job. And it was fake urine. So. Barbiturates, drugs that have sedative effect, sleep-inducing. Benzodiazepines, used to lower anxiety and reduce stress. Alcohol, chemical resulting from the fermentation or distillation, if I can talk today, of various kinds of vegetable matter, like vodka made from potatoes.
Vodka made
Oh.
from potatoes?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's why I get along with vodka, because I'm Irish. I don't know.
This is really off topic, but I when you were in school, did you know that you wanted to be a teacher, or did you think about being like maybe a psychologist or a therapist?
So I worked in a very high pressure sales job, and it was actually higher education, and it was enroll as many students as possible. I had a lot of success at this job because for me, students have always been names, not numbers. But we had to enroll 3 to 4 students a week to keep our job all the time, which was stressful. So to answer your question, I went to school and knocked out my master's, and they were paying for a lot of it at the time. And then I got put on a special Rain Man team. What I mean by that, I don't mean autistic, I just mean like we were good at our job. My manager went out in the rain, and the director was screaming at her about conversion ratios and student retention rates and all these things that he had on the inside of his car windows. It was like, "Who's the best, Carla? Who's the best?" She's like, "I don't know, Adam, I don't know." I was handpicked onto a team of 15 out of 90 because we were good at our job. Like a special team got built. One of my friends got his MBA and was like, "Why don't you get your doctorate with me?" About a month after I was on the team, and I had a master's for about 6 months. And I was like, "No, I'm good." I also made a professor friend at the college. I was like, "That job doesn't look stressful. That looked like a fun and easy job." And I was like, "No, I got my master's. I'm just going to hang out." And he goes, "So you want to be an academic leper?"
A what?
An academic leper? Those are fighting words. And then I started researching what I could do with it. And I thought it'd be fun. So it wasn't immediate. I thought when I was really young, like 18, I was like, always thought it'd be cool because I feel like you keep your youth. You keep your brain in your youth when you're a professor.
Oh, yeah, because you're always learning.
You're always learning. I learn new stuff from my students. Like, I don't just, do PowerPoint to death. Like, I learn from you guys. We have conversations. Sometimes you guys will stump me or you'll ask me something. So it was kind of in the back of my head, and then it changed because I wanted to get out of the sales job because I was tired of the high pressure sales, and I have all this autonomy and it's fun. To answer your question, what were you going to say?
Did you ever study sociology?
Maybe. They're very similar sciences.
That's what I was thinking. I took it in senior year. I was like, it's not exactly the same, but like there's like.
It's real similar. There are things that are both. There's like psychosocial principles. Like sociology is more group behavior, psychology is more individual behavior. That's like one of the biggest differences.
Like community, like social, like.
Yeah. But I was like, well, we'll do that. And then about a class and a half before starting the dissertation process, I got canned like tuna from that place where they walked out 500 people with we were in fucking kindergarten to our cars one day, and I was like, oh, I'm finishing now. They tried to drop me from the program. I'm like, no, I don't care about the tuition reimbursement. I'll just pay and go to school at this point. But I like it. It's a lot of fun. As long as I get my job done, generally no one gives me any crap. Do you guys have all this before I want to go to the next page, by the way? So opiates, type of depressant that suppresses the sensation of pain by binding to and stimulating the nervous systems. Opium, named from the opium poppy, has pain-relieving and euphoria-inducing properties that have been known for at least 2,000 years, highly addictive. Morphine, created by dissolving opium in acid and then neutralizing the acid with ammonia, used for severe pain. Morphine also does something interesting. This is your grip on life. The reason morphine's used in palliative care and hospice is because it slowly loosens your grip on life. That's what morphine does. That's why it's used. Heroin, first held as a wonder drug. It's a derivative of morphine, no longer used for medicine because it's really dangerous.
When you say it slowly loosens your grip on life,
Like we all have a mental desire to like hang on to like life, like we want to like live. It's used in palliative care because that like mental grip on life, it like loosens that grip. I don't know if I'm explaining it
yeah.
well. Am I explaining it okay?
So do they use it more for like people that they know are going to die,
Yeah.
so they die quicker? I
Well,
mean,
yeah, well,
so they give up.
they give up. They give up. Hospice. Encouraging you all not to smoke or vape. It's sad. It's a very sad death. My grandma was squeezing the hands of her grandchildren and her adult children when she passed away, and all she could do was grunt, and she couldn't even make intelligible sounds anymore because she was so on the morphine and the drugs at the end. But she waited to die until everybody was there. And the oncologist said it's because she's smoked since age 14. Like she literally had an early death. She'd be like probably in like her 90s now if she was still alive, and she might have lived that long because smoking and vaping. And you're right, it's normalized. Vaping, you can have collapsed lungs. It's very dangerous.
Like popcorn one too, doesn't it smell
Popcorn
like
cough
that?
or something.
Yeah, yeah, it can. Yeah. What was that? You had something else?
It's like popcorn cough, is that what it's called? Like when you smoke too much, a lot, and
Yeah.
cough.
Smoking anything is a bad idea because you're putting the stuff in your lungs. Like if you're going to indulge in marijuana, I'd probably eat a gummy. I wouldn't smoke. But everything that you ingest in your body comes with risks. But the plan was just to be an adjunct part-time professor at multiple schools, like a hustler. And then it changed into both the day job and the night job, so. I don't really feel stressed. It's fun. Sometimes we get to the things like the meaning of life. We talk about a lot of interesting stuff. And as long as I show up, there's no pressure to perform. Like, as long as I do what I'm supposed to do, it's not like sales where like you have to hit a certain number. Like, as long as I show up and like dynamically engage.
Have you ever had classes that are just like dead silent, like they don't like talking to you? Like, I mean, not that they don't like talking to you,
That's
but they're
different.
just like, you know.
Yeah, I've had, so at my day job I teach OTAs. You all know what that is, right? Occupational therapy assistant, physical therapy assistant, vet tech, and medical assistants. Sometimes there's like a little bit of anger other than take gen ed. You have to get an associate's degree, you have to take gen ed courses. Sometimes they're irritated that I'm not teaching them about animals or medical science. This is a gen ed course. This is a gen ed course anywhere. But you take those because the Department of Education mandates it, because you're getting a regionally accredited degree, which is literally the gold standard.
I don't know if this is appropriate to say, but I was on Rate My Professors the other day, and I was looking at your
Oh, yeah, you're good.
and everybody was like saying good things, and there was like one person who was like, he is so boring, he doesn't even interact with anyone. And I was like, I don't know what this person is talking about, because I feel like you're so interactive, and like I'm so happy. Like at first I was really scared to come to this class, so like he probably is just gonna be, because it's like a night class, and then you like are so interactive with your students. I'm like, I'm not tired anymore. I mean, you might catch me yawning, but like I'm not like dead bored in this class.
Thank you.
I feel like it's very engaging and interesting.
Yeah.
She's right. It's like 3 hours goes by like in 1 hour.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, guys.
Yeah, you're comfortable.
Yeah, I want to make it fun. I don't want to just.
More interesting than work.
What was that?
This is more interesting than work.
Yeah, and I feel like when we talk in class and have our conversation, it kind of helps us to retain the information because I can apply it to my day-to-day life.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of things that do that. There's like sometimes students think their professors aren't approachable or non-relatable. I think that happens. I think I want to be humble. I think I'm fairly relatable because like I engage with you guys. I, tell honest stories. There's also crappy professors that want to just speed through lectures or not be dynamic. I just try to go with the vibe and make it fun along the way. Make sure we're covering the material. Between the textbook and the activities, we're going to go through the material. And there's some professors that believe they should be the audio textbook. I don't think that makes sense. Like you guys are going to read on your own. Like that doesn't make sense to just verbatim tell you all that stuff. But I really appreciate that. You're always gonna have some haters. You're never gonna get everybody. And there's activities that I've done that one class will love, another class will hate. Like we just watched Straw on my psychology in my intro to psych course. Straw.
The one on Netflix?
Yeah, with the worksheet because it's about mental health. Don't say the spoiler alerts in case that becomes an activity here. And so my students like, this is torture. No, it's not. It's psychology. Like, why y'all all got to be hating? Like, we were watching a movie on mental health with a worksheet and some class discussions. That's a really good movie, and you don't know what happens until you watch till the very end of what's really going on.
I was shocked. I was taken aback. I was like, whoa. Yeah, you guys have to watch it. It's really good. It's really good.
And that is something that we can watch movies. We usually, stuff that we watched in the Gen Psych course have been things like Straw, The Vow, Rain Man. Rain Man usually happens every term. Usually Rain Man happens at some point. Like I literally just finished the class the last day because we're in finals of my day job with Rain Man today. You People, that's another one. It's a good psych movie because it's about culture. But there is some vulgar humor. Y'all gotta be okay with that in the very beginning. Was Eating Gilbert Grape? It's been a lifespan one rather than a Gen Psych one. So hallucinogens cause the brain to alter interpretation of sensations. LSD, synthesized from a grain fungus called ergot, powerful synthetic hallucinogen. PCP, synthesized drug now used as an animal tranquilizer that can cause stimulant, depressant, narcotic, or hallucinogenic effects. MDMA, ecstasy, or X, designer drug that has both stimulant and hallucinatory effects. Marijuana, mild hallucinogen known as pot or weed, derived from leaves and flowers of a particular type of hemp plant. THC is a chemical that makes people high. CBD is legal in all 50 states and doesn't make people high. Potentially a COVID blocker per the NIH. There's been 2 studies. I think I mentioned that before. That it might be a blocker.
I think it's funny that somebody said that some people make weed like their personality because my friend used to smoke marijuana. She quit. She had to go get clinical help to quit. But whenever I saw her starting to smoke, it's like her personality hid behind. I don't know.
What hid behind? Yeah, that.
Like, I don't know. It's like she would start smoking. It looked like it relaxed her, but what it did, it kind of like buried her personality. It was really weird.
I remember when like I was like smoking weed in high school, and it was I was in a very like I did it for anxiety. It was really to help me with my anxiety. But like I remember like it would like dull my personality too. Like I would just get like quiet, like very focused. But like my world, I was also very sad back then. So like my world, like I would kind of like how I describe to people is like I would kind of see like the world in like dull colors, like almost like black and gray. That's how it felt.
Oh, wow.
When I would smoke, it like brought my world color. But I wouldn't be like, oh my god, like I'd be like, yeah, like things are normal. And that's why I stopped, because things were normal.
Isn't that why some people do heroin? They say it doesn't make you high or anything, it just makes you mellow and like okay with things. That's what I heard.
I mean, what?
No, I mean that's what like this girl on YouTube. She talks about her heroin addiction and she said it's not like it makes you excited or anything. It just makes you like.
Well, the first
down.
time definitely got you excited.
Yeah, I mean the first time, yeah, but then after that it's like.
Just trying to go back to not feeling the side effects, because that's why they also said that you consume more, not to get more of the good effect, but not to have the bad effect.
Yeah. And sometimes people use drugs and alcohol to self-medicate their mental illness, which doesn't really work. A lot of times it just increases it.
Yeah.
And one of my students got very argumentative with me about that. I'm like, sure, you could get it right. Your stats are fucking low. Okay? Sure, you could get the alcohol and the marijuana just right and regulate your mental health. That is totally possible, but it's unlikely.
I think
Okay? It's real unlikely.
I realized that one day. I realized it when I was actually high. It was crazy. But I was just folding my laundry, and I was like, as I'm folding my laundry, I'm like, I can't be doing this because this is not gonna help me. Like in the long run, it would just suppress what I was feeling. So I'm like, I'm never gonna grow as a person if I keep doing this.
Yeah.
So I think that like the following day, that's when I put it down, and then I just haven't looked back since.
Because marijuana is not generally physically addictive. It's psychologically addictive. It's usually not physically addictive.
Yeah.
It varies. There might be like maybe 5% of people that might get physically addicted to marijuana, but you really don't. Like, it's not like heroin or even nicotine where like it's like, oh, the physical withdrawals or the cocaine, like you can put it down. Like,
You can.
so there's some side effects. You got to be careful if your brain's still developing, which is around age 20 to 25, because it can make your hippocampi, because there's two of them, smaller, which affects memory, because it can retard the growth. Doesn't mean you won't have any memory. It just means proceed with caution. Okay. And anything like saying smoke in the lungs, bad. There's a neurotransmitter that gets blocked later in life. Weed does prevent that, so you may not remember the last 5 minutes, but at least you know who you are. And long-term effects, eating a lot of food and passing out. People don't usually rob banks. If they're on weed, they do it tomorrow.
One thing I can say is I've never had somebody aggressive on weed.
That was my point. They're like, let's rob a bank, let's do it tomorrow.
Like I've never met anybody aggressive. Like I'll meet somebody who's like paranoid.
Sure, but not
like,
aggressive.
Never
Witness
aggressive.
people trying to rob a bank?
What?
You witness people trying to rob a
No, I said people when they're high on marijuana, they don't rob a bank.
Yeah.
When they're high, they do it tomorrow
bank?
because they don't want to do anything because they're high.
Yeah.
But if someone's on cocaine, they might rob a bank. Do you know what the entourage effect is, by the way? With pot? That's the thing, too. The entourage effect is when the chemicals are separated out, it loses its effectiveness. Like CBD, THC by itself doesn't work the same as, like, together.
I have a question.
Yeah. Sure.
Is it are we having a study guide before?
Nope.
Well, it's
But,
open note.
but it's open book, open note. And it's unlimited time.
Oh, it's limited. Or
It's unlimited time.
So if we exit out of it, we can- or what's this?
I think you can save it in McGraw Hill.
Is it
I'm
the
not.
same thing for our final too?
Yeah, so what it is, it's a bank of 1,000 questions.
Oh,
And,
thank-
and I said, give everybody 100 randomly. So your midterm is not yours. And that's so that no one cheats. I want to believe that no one would ever cheat, but I've done this for a little while, and students cheat sometimes. So like, you all have a different midterm, but it's the same content.
Is it more on like application? I figured it's kind of more on
It's-
application.
Yeah, the questions are from a test bank, from McGraw Hill, on your first like 7 chapters, and then your remaining 7 chapters are where I built the final out of. So it's cumulative, but not entirely because.
Cause I try to like cram my brain with like this book, and I'm just like I'm nervous. Like I was telling people, I'm nervous.
No, it's open book, open note with no time limit. So if you want to spend 5 hours learning something, that's fine. But I would lean into the book or my lectures. I would not just Google the internet because the internet can get stuff wrong.
Is it just gonna be for that day? Or
It's open for like, I think about a week and a half. Like it's open for several days. It might even be open now. I have to look. What do you got, James? I mean, and I can. That's fine.
Oh yeah. Is the like not the.
Yeah, it's open now. What was that?
The ending exam, so like the last exam, does that everything we learned all put in one test?
No, it's the last set.
It's the last half.
seven,
It's the last half.
Okay.
But foundationally, it might lean back into 1 through 7 because some of the stuff builds on each other.
Yeah, because I was doing for chapter 5 and it was like kind of building on some stuff, like they might have rocked questions from like the other chapter. So does that mean we're not going to do group presentations today?
No, I was going to give you guys time in just a second. This is why people have supernatural visions and one sleep. They're called hypnagogic, oftentimes misinterpreted as ghosts or supernatural visions. Similar hallucinations occur when awakening from REM sleep. They're called hypnopompic hallucinations. So like as the person's coming out of it, that's why. So the idea is to research 2 drugs of your choice in small groups and 2 sleeping disorders of your choice in small groups. And I have criteria for what I'm looking for. This lecture is a little bit older, so we can talk through it. But the direct and indirect effects and side effects. Yeah. So the idea, this is our guide, like direct effects, indirect side effects, explain it, break it down. The idea is that everybody would pick in small groups, now you can work as an individual if you want, 2 sleeping disorders, anything in the DSM, which is posted in the announcements, are fine, based on the criteria on the slides, and then 2 drugs of your choice. So like, you want to put Adderall and cocaine and prove your boyfriend wrong, you can do that, that's fine. But the idea is that it's first come, first served. Any drug, legal or illegal, you could talk about. The idea is that everybody picks 2 drugs, 2 sleeping disorders. I'm not expecting you guys to be clinicians, and I can give you time. I can give you the last 20, 30 minutes to like work together and have a plan. But the idea is you would start in class, and then we would come to class, and then you would like present. Like the idea would be to be ready. That's why I'm willing to give you a chunk of time to like come up with some stuff. It does not have to be like
Like a slideshow?
like a slideshow. Like walk us through it a little bit. Like I said, I'm not expecting you guys to be clinicians, but tell us a little bit about the 2 drugs of your choice. If there is a drug interaction, we'd like to hear about it. Like if you're not supposed to mix them, that would be interesting. Direct, indirect side effects, and then the consciousness A one says the thing on the sleep disorders, which is like risk factors, like it gives you some criteria. These are in consciousness lecture A and B. So I would say break into small groups, decide what sleeping disorders you want and what drugs you want to talk about, and then use your remaining time to come up with something and or have a plan and assign the work. Email it to me by Sunday night so that we're all ready to present on Monday. And that's towards your 1,000 points over the week. So it's about 60, 70 points a week. So there's a chance to geek out on like a slideshow on 2 drugs, 2 sleeping disorders, just walking us through it a little bit. Am I explaining the assignment okay?
Yes. Do you have like a rubric that you can give to us or no?
I don't have a rubric. If you want one, I create one. I wanted you guys to do it like informally, but I didn't want it to be like half baked. Like I wanted you guys to like just come up with some stuff, if that makes sense. So like direct, indirect effects and risks of the drug, maybe how it works in the brain, just some basics. But if you prefer a rubric, I can do that. It would just take me.
That's fine. It just works better when I can see everything like how it's gonna be.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I can either create one right now and give it to you by the end of class, or I can email it out. But I can. Okay.
I'm sorry, can you repeat everything you just said?
So it's in consciousness lecture A and B. We're picking 2 drugs of your choice and 2 sleeping disorders in small groups, and you're breaking stuff down. So like, for example, this would be what you're doing for the sleep presentations. You're picking really any sleep disorder, like it can be besides my list. Causes and treatment, biology, side effects in other areas of one's life, psychological, physiological causes involved, if applicable, in hereditary, what are the diseases they can lead to as well, behavioral recommendations to limit, treat, or prevent your chosen sleep disorder. And then with the drugs, you're doing risks, side effects, indirect
And that's in the
effect. And those are in the presentations.
Is it A and B or
Yeah, A and B. A and B. Each at the end they have something.
Wait, so are we doing both?
Sleep disorder and drugs.
So both of them?
Yes.
One
Yeah.
and one.
One and one or two and two?
I was saying 2 and 2.
Oh,
Yeah.
2 for each.
Yeah, 2 for each.
Check your.
You go to the dining room. That's it.
Is it up to 4 people or how many people you said?
Like 4 to 5, 3 to 4, 4 to 5 a group, 2 to 3. You can work individually too if you want. But I want you guys to communicate with me as you decide on sleep disorders, write them on the board, and drugs so we don't have duplication. Because I don't want you all to be like, we're all going to talk about Adderall and cocaine because that'd be like boring. Yeah, you can totally do that. It's for typically first. Yeah, so that we know. So that we know. I have more markers. I'm pretty sure I have more markers. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Marijuana.
Marijuana's fine. There's no half-baked presentations.
No, we're sober over here, sir. Just believe.
Wait, do we have to write down the sleep disorders too?
What else do you want to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, write them down so that way no one does the same thing.
So we have LSD. You said we cannot repeat, right? Or can we?
The idea is not to repeat anything.
Well, then,
So, like, look at what your colleagues are doing so we don't have the same presentations.
Okay, alcohol. And then night terrors
Yep.
and insomnia. That's what you said.
Corey, we're gonna work on that.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I do better alone.
Oh,
Yeah.
what's your email?
Okay, so this is end of and what's your name again? Kim.
What's your last name?
Okay.
Thank you.
Good on that.
Is it this one? It should be in your email like the next minute or so. Should we just title the presentation sleep disorder?
Oh wait, are we supposed to do just
Yeah, I'm just making sure. Yeah.
Oh, I wrote so big. I feel kind of bad.
No, it's okay. Don't worry. There's like
Okay.
all these spaces.
Are we all supposed to do different?
Wait, what?
Per group, different. But the idea is supposed to be different per the whiteboard. Like,
It's supposed to be what's
Wrong?
on the thing that we
Okay.
can pick from the group. Like, you know how you give us option of like group 1, group 2,
I don't
group
Wait,
3?
do I
no,
write
it's
down
any
the
drug.
drug?
It's
Okay,
any.
'cause- Yeah, okay.
Huh?
That's the older one. That's the older lecture. It's any drug.
Wait,
I'm gonna have a rubric for you guys in just a second.
Okay.
Wait, what is hypersomnia?
That's like we did not talk about it.
Wait,
That's like that's a sleep disorder, and I want to say hypersomnia is like having problems, like you're awake too much. Hypersomnia
oh.
versus insomnia. I'm pretty sure that's hypersomnia.
What are we doing? Insomnia.
you wanna do, I'm just looking at what you're writing now, so I just don't have. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Causes and treatments. Violence.
It's not gonna want the B.
Is it okay if I did alcohol and depressants, this person did alcohol and LSD? Or do you want me to?
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean that would be okay. I was just usually besides alcohol. With the I mean that some overlaps okay. I'm just trying to not have
Yeah.
much. Does that make sense?
I have like just realized it right now.
Can you something besides alcohol?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Is it English?
When I first went into the share presentation or post presentation and this shows up, is that a student email?
Yep, that should be your student email
Okay.
to log into it.
Could I do nicotine?
Yeah, it can be fine if that's the one that's not taken.
I don't think it is.
Yeah. Compose. All. Courses. I'll save as sleep disorder and drug presentation rubric. I'm uploading a rubric to the files right now for everybody. It's called Sleep Disorder and Drug Presentation Rubric. And I think it's already in there. Yeah. I can try to see if I can email it to you guys. See if it'll let me attach. All. Okay, I emailed the rubric and I put one in there under the files. I emailed it to everybody through Canvas just now as an attachment. And if you just look up, type in the word rubric, there's only one in there right now. It'll say sleep and drug disorder rubric, and then you'll have an idea of what to do. For exceeds, meets, and doesn't meet expectations. Make sure you have a plan, you're assigning work, you have a Google document, you have a way to hold each other accountable. We don't want a train wreck next week. We want everybody to be like, okay, I'm ready. I will take the first 20 or 30 minutes or so of,
Are we gonna project them out?
yeah. The idea is like, email them to me by Sunday and be ready. Don't feel like, oh, I didn't get to it. Like, that's why I'm giving you guys class time to either knock it out or have a plan on what you're gonna tie up for loose ends, so that way we're totally ready, and then we just start with these, and then we'll segue into, I think it's learning next week, like on conditioning and stuff. Thanks for your kind words.
Oh,
For your kind words.
you're welcome.
A lot of passion in what I do. It's not really blowing up negatively.
What is
about
it?
Some students, I'm like,
Um,
yeah, I went to school for a while and really prepared and trying to make fun.
I mean, I think it's the same on the like student side. Like, as someone who usually gets along with the teachers, there are just some teachers that I don't get along with. And I think it's just usually just that. And I think it's like vice versa with teachers.
Yeah.
But teachers are super good. I've always appreciated teachers too, because it's a really tough job sometimes. So, yeah.
I don't know if people do K through 12. I don't know if people do K through 12. Like, I can deal with adults, I can deal with adults behaving like children, but children behaving like children all day long, I think I lose my mind.
Well, yeah, it's just,
and it's both stimulate
I don't know how people can deal with people in general.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. No one. Someone, we got someone that did insomnia, we had insomnia twice.
But we did it first.
No, we didn't.
No.
Yeah.
I was there first.
Yeah, we just changed, I saw you going back and forth.
No, that was for the,
That was for NDMA.
yeah.
I didn't see you. I was
You were there first?
Been here sitting
I
like
was
an
there
hour.
first.
It's not the end of the world, there's some overlap, but the idea is to not be saying the same stuff when you guys are up there, that's why. Did we get the rubric, by the way? Is that rubric helpful?
You made that right.
Huh?
As quickly as well.
Yep. I don't always use rubrics, but I totally know what they are and how to use them. So just like, did they do it or not, a lot of times, is like, kinda like that A to F range, but for the one I just said, you guys, like, exceeds would be A, B, which are, you know, the other part is definitely A. And like the middle would be like C, D, and then like that far right column would be failing, because that'd be like meeting expectations. Yeah. Including the drop mic piece to engage your audience. Very important.
Like, one of the jokes.
Oh, that was me, that was me.
She was asking me how I was so
It's pronounced marijuana,
marijuana.
but it's got a J.
Okay, I was confused. I had it as a J. They
M-A-R-I-J,
changed it.
it's a J.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
You want two different sides? Oh, I was gonna say for one, for probably wants to know, like, bro, we got a lot to do. Or what were you saying?
C-O-N-S. C-I-O-U-S-N-E-S-S. They're not spelling it. C-O-N. No, C-I-O, C-O-N-N. U-S. Yeah, A and B. And then also, you type in rubric,
Like
I have the rubric for you guys. Yeah. Obviously, make sure you're citing. Or getting information from. Whatever we're gonna do for you guys.
Yeah, we saved it.
Do you want us to cite our sources?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't put citing the sources in the rubric, but you guys have to cite your sources, otherwise it's an idea that came out of your own head, so like, cite your sources.
Is it okay if we have like a slide at the end for work cited?
Yeah.
Do you want us to like cite it right next to where we're saying things?
Technically, you're supposed to cite it right next to where you're saying it. In text and at the end, it's what's actually accurate.
So you don't want like a box at the end, a PowerPoint box that says.
I could do a
all the
PowerPoint
sightings,
box at the end, that's fine, but
here's all the
the,
sightings.
the most accurate APA would actually be like, you cite it in the slide and then at the end.
So sign sources per slide.
That would be the most accurate APA. So. But it's easy, it's like last name, year, or you put the page of the paragraph number right in the center of that. It's literally that easy. Make sure you're citing, guys. I know it doesn't say cite in the rubric, but I expect you guys to cite. Like, because unless the ideas are completely your own, you want to reference where you got the information. And the most accurate citing would actually be in text and at the end. Does that make sense, Islam? Citing? Citing? It might not. Does it? Wow.
Oh, okay, yeah. Like put in your name.
It's like where you find your research, putting the
Like who said what you
that you
Okay.
the information
Makes
from.
sense.
You guys should be citing, I didn't put that in the rubric, but you guys should be citing,
Have you
I
guys
don't expect to see a
know?
bunch of non-citing. You
Should we get into multiple
Yeah, oh no, I'm
sources?
not. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna have a short
Yeah, I mean, I will say if
Wait,
there
so
are
it's still
tons and
first?
tons of sources, but I would say like, I have a few.
Yeah.
Like, otherwise they don't say it's your idea.
Um,
And there's no way, I mean, like, DSM would be one of your site sources.
so you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like you're giving credit to the people that came up with it. I know that's not the most fun part of it, but it doesn't take that long if you do want to do it. Sources in my dissertation. For 6 years, it was fun.
The
Yep, it's the last name, and the page number of the year if it's verbatim, like if it's everything they said, if you paraphrase, which you really should do. If you paraphrase, Kate, it's the author and the year. There's no page number, if it's in your own words. And you should try to do more of that than
Yeah, 'cause I'm
verbatim. If you paraphrase, then you don't have to have a page number at all.
Okay, so just the,
Last name of the author and the year and your brackets, and that's it.
The last name of the author?
and the year.
No page.
You guys should be paraphrasing, not just copying, cutting and pasting. Should be paraphrasing.
No, you're
And the
good.
citing's actually easier
Oh,
than
oh,
it's
did
just
she move
author
on to another
and
one?
year versus the page or the paragraph number.
'Cause I
And then
was
also
debating.
shows like that you know the thing and that you're not just cutting and pasting the thing, but you put it in your own words and you don't change the meaning.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah.
Is there a
We
question?
shouldn't be copying, we should just be paraphrasing.
Oh, what they did?
More so just like.
So the idea is
switching it to
not
all
overlap
words.
or
But keeping it
slight
simple.
overlaps, okay, but the idea is that we're not all presenting,
And then if we're up there.
we're presenting different stuff. So if I see a little bit overlap here or there, like, I'll give you guys insomnia, okay, we're not gonna do rock, paper, scissors.
He falls asleep. Why is AI everywhere? Leave me alone.
Be careful, because AI can always say.
Huh?
Yeah, that's true.
You can, if you go into AI, you put something like, I wanna send a their bomb to the sun. AI will give you a good response and scold you, then you cut and paste AI's response back into itself, like 3 to 5 times. Go for the time.
Do you think like AI is biased? Are you serious?
AI is totally biased. There's
Yeah,
there's
because
an AI
of the
there-
programmers, right?
Well, there's an AI that was found to be racist. Like, they actually put the thing down, because it was like taking stuff off the internet. You have to be very careful with AI, like, just give me academic sources. Like, AI does some good applications, and I have it for like a personal assistant, but I check all the stuff that it does. Cause I'm like, I wanna make sure that shit makes sense.
Yeah.
Like,
There's like
it can save you time and be helpful, but it can also kill you.
Yeah, like there was this one, what do you call it? My one like old friend, I was like, when she was in college, she was 3 years older. Well, but last year she said she wrote her paper and her teacher like failed her. She's like, why did you fail me? And her teacher like, this is AI. And she's like, I did it on like Google Doc, you could see my history like when I'm correcting myself. And the teacher's like, oh what? I didn't read it. Like I just put it into an AI.
Yeah, I have software that lets me check for AI. If it's not something that I would write, it's usually AI. That doesn't mean that you're not capable of writing at my level,
Yeah.
because you might be a gifted writer. Writing usually takes years and years of like honing the skill. And then the way in which the patterns are, a robot versus a human, are different.
Yeah.
And there's software that's totally free, that's on the internet, that I'm able to use, that usually tells me the percentage of what it looks like for AI. And if it's like, I'm unsure, it's, well, I'll give it to you, but when it's 100%, 80%, 65%, 70% AI, I flag that immediately. And then I start reading it, and then I try to see how close it is to the assignment alignment, and then if that's not aligned,
Yeah, because she was telling me, she's like, I was so mad. Because the teacher literally told me, like, oh, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't read it.
well,
I
run
just plugged it into
You can
AI.
run it into AI. You can
Yeah.
run it in and then read it. Does everyone have a plan for next week? Can we agree everyone's gonna be ready by Sunday, so Monday we can present? And can we make sure everyone's, that you're citing, that you're giving credit to where you have the information off the internet, both in text and at the end?
Oh, yeah, let's
Which is pretty easy, just make sure you're doing that, paraphrasing, etc. If you all have a plan, a group chat, etc., free to go. Please do not come to class next week and say, I'm not ready. Like, please be ready, because I literally gave you like a solid 30 minutes to make sure you could be ready. If you have a plan, you're free to go. If you have anything urgent, Final thoughts, comments, etc. I'll stick around. Other than that, have a great night, everybody.
What's your number?